The intention of justice is to see that the guilty people are proven guilty and that the innocent are freed. Only we have a problem here.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are taking a look at this case from a psychological perspective.
Facebook posts, images of non-participants, names of sexual assault victims, intimate body parts.
One or more of these 10 people has to be the killer of John O'Keefe. That's how easy this is. Michael Proctor's attorney doesn't want Karen Reed's team to have access to all the information before he started to investigate Karen Reed.
Mr. Proctor was either looking at, sending, or both these images of other people's intimate body parts between the time that the phone was returned from the DA's office and when Mr. DeGangi's firm was engaged. Mr. Proctor, quote, lost that phone.
Kelsey's fighting for her life at this point. They don't know if she's going to make it, I think. July 3rd, 2025 at 9:24 a.m. And this is the front porch camera. Pay attention to the door. Boy, he had to break in, didn't he? And he's got one guy, two guys with him. Oh, three guys with him. After stealing Miss Fitzsimmons' laptop, Mr. Alayan brought it to his parents' residence in Stowe, Massachusetts. From there, he accessed her Facebook, AOL, and Gmail accounts, gained entry to bank accounts, withdrew approximately $5,000, closed accounts, accessed her medical records, accessed her pension beneficiary documents, and canceled her travel reservations, redirecting funds to his own account.
Data Decoder 11, that there is time missing from this voicemail.
Keep walking. Keep walking. Nobody wants to hear.
Still got everybody around you, right?
You do. Go be by yourself a little bit.
Hold on.
Okay. What's going on? Is he face down?
What's going on? Is he face down? So the reason why he asks that, so far she's given him two pieces of information. There's a man unresponsive in the snow, and I think he's dead. So the assumption by the officer is she doesn't know this guy well, and she thinks he's dead. So knowing those two things, what does he ask?
What's going on? Is he face down?
We just flipped him over.
She realizes that's why he asked. She understands, oh shit, why do I think he's dead? So now she says,
we just flipped him over.
we, okay, repeating pronoun, just flipped him over. It's a lie to cover for the fact that she knew he was dead before she arrives. That's the reason why she says this. We know for sure that Mike Lank is walking around quite a bit, like he is right now, during the exact time that he's not supposed to be moving at all. And Sean Good is doing exactly the same thing. He's following him around.
And if he has a concern, I'll tell him that we're not charging him with that, based on the entire circumstances.
And there you have it. They are not charging him with that. And you didn't think to disclose that to the defense. Wow, just epic wow, dude.
Can we time
Well,
him out now?
I'm only asking.
Bye-bye.
Somehow they intercepted text between Karen and Aiden via a third party. She references Higgy one time, and it's like, Higgins is always all over me. That was it. The one little sentence was, Higgy is always all over me, all the time. But she wasn't implying that it could be Brian. It was just that one sentence in relation to Brian Higgins. One sentence in the middle of maybe like 100 of them.
Non-responsive. Has to buy that. So, has to buy that. So.
And showing solidarity, you can see them there.
It's about getting justice for John O'Keefe. There clearly is an issue of integrity.
How dare they?
Justice for all. Only we have a problem here.
Welcome.
Is the defense-
Welcome. Sorry. Hello, everybody. It's our Monday Nooner. And I am here with my co-host. Hello, Vince. Welcome.
Good.
Happy
Thank
Monday.
you. Good morning. Amazing opening as always.
Yeah. Yes, I was all fired up. I almost missed the go time because I was in our text chain getting really worked up about the 911 call. Jen. I can't with Jennifer McCabe, everybody. Everyone knows how I feel about Jen, but this time when I went back through it, I couldn't. I was just flipping out because all of the indicators and realizing it's just like, I guess when you spend so much time in these people's heads because you're in these testimonies over and over and over again, you just kind of get to know them. Something happens where like a switch flips and you can just see it. And even if it's like a week has gone by, something different appears. So I feel like I pretty much covered the whole call now, and it's deeply upsetting. So if you haven't seen the most recent analysis, it's worth checking out because there's a lot more in there than I even had seen the first 2 times.
The only clips I get from you girls are when you're making fun of me or you're referencing me in a negative way. So I only saw those pieces, which is great. You know my opinion on that so far, but I haven't gotten there. I told you that. That's your thing right now. I'm still back at 12:32. And I know it seems like, Vince, why are you moving so damn slow? And generally I move fast, like way too fast. But this is the one situation in my life where I'm actually slow, besides learning and things like that. So I want to figure out exactly what's happening. And my mind and my hypothesis has completely changed. And we're going to cover this today based upon the evidence that Corey Hopkins got us. I changed my hypothesis as to what happened at the Waterfall. People were hinting at it because we didn't have full information. When I say people, I mean Sergio Dinero, for those you don't know, is a body language / human lie detector, and he worked for the government for years. But what he does is he actually uses the words, not necessarily the body language, but the words, and that's the beauty of him. And he can make his assumptions. There is no one telltale sign that someone is lying. There are only indicators, and that's very important. There's no such thing as anyone who could tell that someone is lying. There's indications of deception, but it doesn't mean 100% that someone is being deceptive.
But it does if you know them well enough. But that's okay.
well, sorry, but
it's okay. It's okay. But so Sergio's method. This is important. He's not a body language analyst. He's a statement analyst. And
right, you're correct. I said that wrong.
Pioneered something called the empathy method, which is fascinating because he identifies himself as being on the spectrum. So that's really interesting. But I digress. So what he does is he puts himself in their shoes. He tries to embody them. And then when you get the baseline, of course, you got to get the baseline. That's obviously very, very important. But once you have that, from there, then being able to say, okay, I understand who this person is. I have a sense of how they use language. You put yourself in the context of what they're doing in the statement. And then from there, he's able to really nail it, a lot anyway, a large amount. Like he always says, and this is true, you can tell deception. What you can't tell is the truth. So that's to your point. You can tell when someone's not being honest, but you can't tell what the alternative would be to that honesty.
Exactly. And that's why I get a little uncomfortable sometimes with your analysis where you make this definitive statement. This is exactly what Jen is doing. This is why she's doing it at 62 because she knew. I don't necessarily go that way, and I get it.
But
and
you
can't.
No, you don't get it because you didn't. You have no idea what you're talking about. You have not given my analysis a single second. So you don't get to have an opinion on it. But I'm telling you, every word that she utters and the entirety of this call. So if you're coming at this as a normal person and you just, oh, yep, that's Jen. She's just doing her civil duty. The problem with that call, number one, did you know that Carrie Roberts still, when she walks away from that scene, thinks John is alive? She doesn't think he's dead. She thinks he's going to go to the hospital and he's going to be revived. She tells us that, right? And that's exactly what any normal human being would think, because death is something that we humans are programmed not to consider. If you were hanging out at a bar the night before, 4 hours, 5 hours earlier, and you stumble upon a body of the person you were hanging out with the night before, watching, drink, and do shots. And you see them lying there. Now, this is really important. Jennifer does not go right to the body, and we know that because of Karen's voicemail. Karen drops her phone in Carrie's car, and we hear what happens, which is a minute and 12 seconds is missing at the back end. But the beginning, we hear. So we hear her drop the phone drops. Then we hear Carrie get out of the car, and we hear Jen say to Carrie, "I'll call, I'm calling." And she goes to the back of the vehicle and she calls 911. Carrie runs over to Karen, who's with John. So now the entire 911 call is captured both by the 911 operator, but also by the voicemail. So we can hear Jen. She does not leave the back of the car because we can hear the entire voicemail. After that, as you pointed out, she pretends to go help with John's body. But there is less than 30 seconds between the time that they arrive and the time that she gets on the phone. And the first thing that she tells the first dispatch, "I think he's dead." She says it 4 times. And at the very end, the CPR, the dispatch says, "All right, so if you are waving CPR, then I guess," right? And she's like, okay, yep. Like wanting to get off the phone. And then she gets angry when he keeps her on the phone with a question, right? Those aren't even the major indicators. But even if you only consider those things as facts, it's just not possible that you would be so sure this man is dead within less than 30 seconds and not even having gone over to the body. There's lots of other slip-ups that she makes throughout this call. Like, for example, telling us that he got out of the car. That was a huge mistake. Because there's no way, if she really didn't see Karen and John get out of the car, there's no way you'd place him at that scene at that time because you would remember them not getting out of the car. So naturally, your assumption would be John would have come back. I don't know how, I don't know when, but John must have made his way back here. Maybe Karen and him got into a fight. He came back to the house. You would not assume he got out of the car and then just collapsed onto the ground, right? Because you saw the two of them in your mind pull away. She does that twice. So that's 2 more indicators. I mean, when I tell you that this whole thing is an indicator, the whole thing is an indicator. Now, Alan Jackson does pick up on the distancing, the man in the snow and the man unresponsive part. And to me, they are indicators very clearly. She says that 3 times. To me, that's a police way of speaking, right? So a cop gave her that. That's the way a cop would call it in. There's a guy unresponsive in the snow. There's a man unresponsive in the snow. The first time she gets it wrong, she says passed out. The second 2, she gets closer to what she was supposed to say, which is a rehearsed statement. Jen is generally better at rehearsed statements than Brian Higgins or Brian Albert, whatever. But that's it. The rest of the time, it's I mean, she's a complete train wreck. And that's when she is speaking and she does get words out, she's lying. I mean, it's just so clear. It's so clear. And to me, the biggest problem with this call, the fact that she's, oh my God, this is a scene. She's more worried about the girls on the front lawn making a scene. That's unbelievably incriminating. The whole thing, as I said. So to me, and that's why I am sure, because to me, there really is no world where a human who loves a person, who says, I love this man, oh, I love him so much. You love somebody, you do not find them just suddenly on the side of the road with no knowledge of how they got there and then insist on telling 911 that they are dead 4 times. It's just not, you don't do it. So those are my reasons.
Got you. And I'm going to learn from the Adelson case where I have to watch what you put out first before I can make an opinion. Remember how Wendy Jill was upset that Dan Markell didn't read her book? And I can sense the anger that you had yesterday. We did a show with Emily C. That was a good one about the sidebars, and you yelled at me for this too. I need to see it. And I'm not putting it away because I don't believe it. I just haven't seen it yet. So just give me the time to look at it. And I know you have a Jewish mother and I know so did Wendy Jill, and I know how that ended up for Dan Markel. So I'm going to review everything you did in great detail because I know Wendy Jill was so upset that Dan didn't read her book. So I will watch the video before we get into that. Fair enough?
That's fair. Absolutely. Yes. But
okay,
I just want everybody to know.
They got it. They got your opinion,
Good,
I
okay.
think. I don't know how you could talk that long but I guess you come from good stock. I bring two messages, not to you, of course, but to your father. One from your friend, Anthony Cumia, one of the biggest radio stars probably that ever lived. Would you agree?
He's a pretty big star, certainly in this area. I don't know about, universally, but definitely in I would say the Northeast, certainly.
Well, to your father, he loves him, respects him, and learned a lot of what he does. He sort of based it off of that. Obviously, the two Italian guys that made their way from working to the radio, which is a huge thing. I was speaking about your dad with Anthony because it is, at that time, the only way you can broadcast is you had to make it on the radio, which is one in a, maybe I was saying like 50 million, right? So your dad did it, Anthony did it. I didn't do it. We didn't do it. We just can come on here with a computer and anyone can have a show. But back then you had to take a huge risk and risk everything to get on there. Your dad did it. And again, I always brag for him. Not so much that I was such a fan because I really wasn't into sports talk that much, but I listened to your dad. But Anthony was giving that. And then Stuttering John Edward Melendez says the same thing. Only high regards to your dad. They're not bullshitting me. They don't. John doesn't necessarily like me right now. We're fighting. But your dad, he has good message for us. So I wanted to convey that to you before I forgot. So I was out Friday night, as I said, at Rodney's. And it sort of relates to this case because somehow, Sam, maybe you're right with introducing alcohol to men and getting close to each other at a bar can cause friction. It can cause a fight. I've seen it. Unfortunately, your good buddy Anthony Cumia got into a little altercation too, which is something that I never thought he would. I mean, besides the fact that he has, significant amounts of assets to lose, he always is generally a comic, and he's very good at what he does. But I've seen him get antagonized, and I think it's self-defense what he did. But yeah, I mean, there are altercations, and it goes back to this case because today we're going to look at the Waterfall video, and my hypothesis has changed. And I know you were the first to tell me this, that Higgins wasn't ignored. And I know you got that from Sergio, but we didn't have the benefit of the entire video. And now what I've seen, what you showed me, what the videos show me is conclusive. Higgins wasn't ignored. You have Karen Reed reaching out and touching Brian Higgins' arm in a flirtatious manner. If you ever had an affair with someone and the person that you're deceiving is in the location, you can't sit there and talk to the girl the whole time. All you need is the one little signal. And my God, for a man, touches everything. Like if you touch his arm once, everything is forgotten. Even a few days of ghosting, it is everything to us. You girls are always getting touched when you don't want to, right? Like guys, we never get touched ever. Unless you're really, really good. Like sometimes I have really good looking friends and then girls like always love them. But for the most part, we're not getting touched. Sure. Yeah. And it's just a different situation. And we see that there. Then while we go through the video, you have to ask yourself, did Karen conceal this from her attorneys? But more importantly, how did they miss this? Because we have the video of them in the war room. They're focusing on this big gotcha moment. Well, and I made this mistake. I was wrong in theory because I used well as Brian so desperate to get Karen's attention and he didn't get it. That's bullshit. We know 20 minutes later, he's being touched. He got everything he needed there. And
he did.
Yeah, he did. And we didn't know that. I don't understand how the attorneys didn't know it. I get how Lally missed it, right? Because all that questioning, all Lally had to do is zoom in on this part. There's two parts that
it's true.
Are you being ignored? Is she on the other side of the bar? No, she made her way all the way to you by the end of the night.
Yeah, Lally could have used it big time. That could have gotten her in big trouble, right? I mean, it could have gotten her in trouble. In fact, that might be part of the reason why Karen doesn't bring it up is because she's afraid. Because at that time, you have to remember that the prosecutor's office was pressing criminal charges, suggesting that she had a motive.
Yes, and the motive being that she was jealous. The Aruba, I get all that, which is odd to me. I will never say, first of all, Karen didn't hit him, so it doesn't make it. Everything I'm saying here is premised on the fact that there was no car accident. So that makes no difference to me. Karen did not hit him. She never intended to hit him. It didn't happen. So that doesn't matter. But my hypothesis as to what triggered a potential conflict has got to change. If you're a true scientist, if you're a true reporter, if you get evidence that contradicts your hypothesis, you have to change it. That's why it is a hypothesis. You have to take in the addition. You can ignore it if you want, but I see right there a girl touching another man. You've done this before, I'm sure.
Of course.
Where I'm talking about just touching an arm. And you may think, and you know what you're doing as a woman, especially when you get older. You know what you're doing. It's a signal. It's a signal, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't know which comedian I'm stealing this, but basically saying like, I want to have sex with you. I know it's being crass, but you know when a woman touches you like that, they do it for a reason.
She's already told him that. I mean, let's be honest. Karen has
I
already
forgot about
told him that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because she says, like, I know my age, when a man asks you over for a drink, I know what that means. And then she goes over there for a drink. So to me, the implication was already laid out, right? And then we don't have to get into this now, but to your point about those texts that Natalie ends up giving to the, foreskin girls somehow, about where it just says something very briefly about Higgins being all over her. And to your question about why Karen doesn't really bring this up with her attorneys, I think there might be additional reasons too. And just like you, I had this hypothesis for a really long time that the people in the house were not privy to what was going on outside. But now, because I'm focused primarily on that, so what I've been focused on is the people in the house and their words and statements during what would be the time of the crime. And the problem that I have is that before Karen and John step foot on that property, they're already lying. And that's a very big problem for me. So that's something that I just realized. I don't know why. I just realized this maybe a week ago, looking at all of their statements and realizing how egregious the lying is. And it's just silly. It's like, wait a minute, John and Karen weren't even there yet. So why can't you just tell us? I walked in, I said hello to this person. I did this. I went and gave a hug to Brian Jr. None of that. They can't do it. Nobody can.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. They don't really know what's going on, but they're sure that they're eventually looking out the window, which I sort of get because Jen, at this point, you see just 10 minutes earlier, she's friendly. She's trying to get everyone together. She wants people to come over. That's her thing. So I don't have any problem with her looking out that window for Karen and John. I mean, the party's not that great. You have Brian Higgins, like a sad sack sitting there. And then the three kids, like it's not necessarily fun.
But something's going on. I mean, think of it this way. If what you're saying is true, if it is exactly like you said, it's kind of a boring environment and right. One of the things that Sergio teaches is that when you have a sequence of events and the time of the crime is in that sequence of events and you're recounting that, really you should have 50% of everything that went on in your statement be about that time. Nobody can give us more than one-word sentences, including before Karen arrives, right? So that is extraordinarily suspect. And to your point, there's only two reasons that I can come up with for why that would be. One is, does Brian Higgins go into that house and is he like amped up talking about John and Karen? So that's one possibility. The other is that there is something else and somebody else potentially in that house that they don't want to bring up, they don't want to expose, because it's before Karen and John get there. So it can't be something specific to them arriving.
Got you. And the only person it could be is little Colin Albert, right? There's no other person that has interacted in this entire situation.
You would think.
At that time frame, between 12 and 12:15, actually 12 and 12:24 when they arrive. So, yeah, that's a good point. Let's get to these questions so we don't skip over them.
Cynthia Marks, I love it. Sends $4.99. Vince did an amazing job as Lally yesterday on the sidebars. Captured him perfectly. You did. I thought you did a wonderful job, too. Yeah, that was fun. It was so fun reading the sidebars. It is a fun
I don't think I capture Lally at all. I'm not a trained actor
know,
in
right?
any sense, so I try
I
my
know.
best.
Wait, I'm reading. I'm trying. There's so many comments. I'm going to get to these other ones. I see you guys asking some really good questions. I will get to them. I promise. There's a lot of comments here. Okay. Hold on, you guys. Sometimes like this thing just doesn't work super well. At Ricky B sends $10. Tested health data with iPhone last week. Oh, logged in screenshots. I had HD off, so it's new data. It logged 8 floors climb as I activated HD. I was lying down and 1 floor walking up 3 flights of stairs. Oh, interesting. Best way to share it to let me just get this right. I always get it wrong. Why is it that my email, SB, I don't belong here at Yahoo. That's it. SB, I don't belong here at Yahoo. Really easy to remember. Definitely send it. So that's very interesting. So there you go.
It is.
Right? Yeah. There's somebody who's taken the time to do the investigating. Now, the question is, how much has Apple changed their program, their health status data from the iPhone 11? I don't know. Some of their stuff does not change much at all from the upgrade to upgrade, but I would think it's been 4 years. Probably it's changed to some degree. That's why I think we do need to get an iPhone 11.
I'm sure I have one at my house. My son collects them, so
he collects
his iPhone
phones?
11. Well,
Really?
He gets a new phone every year. Yeah, he's a bit of a techie.
Well, that's interesting. We should check to see. That would be very, very helpful.
Actually, I would.
You should check. At Gushka sends 30 something. Different take on Karen. Phase 1, ignore and pretend you're having fun. Phase 2, pretend you're not ignoring with short meaningless interaction. Absolutely. And then continue ignoring. Women do that a lot. Then there's phase 3 though. Phase 3 is she does not ignore. She literally positions herself within a half inch from his body and is literally reaching over him, laughing and speaking to Brian Albert of all people. And then as you're pointing out, right before he's about to leave, she does like grab him and say something.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. But I think what the person is saying here is doing that. So you ignore, then you do their touch to get his attention back, and then you go back to ignoring again, which I've sort of been in that situation. Usually the one getting ignored. But yeah, so it's like a cat and mouse type game. Yeah, and that's definitely going on. What's interesting, Sam, is that both Brian Higgins testified that he never spoke with Karen there.
John. Oh, Karen. Yeah.
Karen, yeah. And yeah, you're right. And what's more interesting is that John and Brian Albert and Higgins were talking for really most of the time because they weren't there that long. They were speaking for over 25 minutes. All right, we're going to get I don't even want to we're going to see it. So yeah, let's finish this up.
Absolutely. I know.
Yeah,
I think that's so interesting. Right. I think that's so interesting because it's true. It's super important. It really, really is. I think, nope, there's more. Hold on. Ricky B sends $2. It's very close to John's ITs and XS. I have it. Cool. Awesome.
That's cool.
So that's super helpful to know. Yeah. So that's probably pretty close if you have an 8, right? That's probably pretty close to what he's. So what is that? And I guess my question to you, Ricky B, would be, what do you think it tells you? Like, does that tell you that John could have been doing anything? The phone could have been anywhere doing any, like, what do you think that experience sort of says about what could have been going on with his phone? That would be my question. Very, very helpful though, because the only way we're going to know is if we keep doing the like you were saying,
the investigation.
The investigation, the experiments is the word I was looking for.
Yeah, I don't think Emily B's CPR experiment is really valid for our situation.
It's so funny. I'm reading some of the comments. You guys are hilarious. They're great. Okay, so I think that's good. We're good for now. We'll get to some of these other ones too, because there's a lot of really good comments in here. What do you want to do with the waterfall?
What's the plan? You want to go to the waterfall? Let's go to the waterfall.
Let's take a look at the waterfall. Yes.
So you put up a video. What did you do? Did you crop it out? Did you put in some form of enhancement?
I ran it through a restoration software, which took up like
Okay.
90% of my hard drive, which is very upsetting. But and it took overnight. It literally took like 8.5 hours to clean up. So you'll see that the coloring is a little off, but because it ran through, you can see just a little bit more clearly. It's a little bit, AI touched up. But you
Did you see
can.
the
I mean, you
part,
can see. Go ahead.
Sam, where the lights go on at
Yes.
certain point? And
Yes.
can't you relive that? I mean, in your mind or your body, like when the lights go on at a bar after a night, you could totally feel. You literally feel the lights go on.
You know what though? You could see so much better when those lights go on. I was like, man, I wish these lights were on the whole night.
I don't.
you really can
I
see
like
better.
when girls can see less of me, even though you look frozen right now.
I am frozen because I'm pulling up the Waterfall video. Okay. And you know what's funny is we had been, God, I don't know how many times I had asked, God, I wish we had the full Waterfall video. I wish we had the full, and we now finally have, we don't have the whole night, but we do have from 10:30 on, which is pretty awesome. Beggars can't be choosers, I guess. Okay. There is no sound. There's no sound on this, just FYI. Hold on, guys. So I don't know why. I think there is sound right on the video, but I did not
No,
add
there
sound.
isn't. There
isn't.
We
Okay.
artificially added, I think, those little
Is that
rascals in the
true?
editing department and on our end.
Interesting. Yes, we have somebody saying that Karen was not completely honest with her lawyers because of her shame over the Higgy-John triangle. Yeah, so we've been having a lot of conversations about that. We'll probably get back to that in a bit, I would think.
So here we go at 10:30. The group is basically to the top right. I find it interesting sometimes watching Nick the Greek because they haven't been out with this group. They don't know this group. And sometimes when you don't know the people out there, you don't even know sort of why you're there. And the group seems to know each other better, obviously, than Nick does. But his wife is a little bit more social than he is. And it's not his fault. He doesn't really know these guys at all. But so they're in the top right there, correct?
Yes. So hold on.
Okay.
Let me, is there a way, I wonder if there's a way to make this bigger. Hold on.
Corey's
All right,
not.
I'm
Corey
playing
knows how
it.
to do that.
Hold on 1 second. I don't know if that made it bigger for you all. That made it bigger on our side, but probably not for you guys.
No, it's fine.
So
though.
you can see. So they are behind, unfortunately, they're behind this timestamp, which is tragic. But this is the table. They're that table in the back. So you can't, in this particular image, Higgins, luckily he moves over. But right now, he's on the left side of the far table in the back. And you can see the guy playing the guitar, banjo, whatever that is, closer to Higgins. He's got the Harley sweatshirt on. And then you can see Jen. She looks like, for a long time, I thought they were behind the bar, but they are sitting at a high top table in front of the bartender, who in this angle looks like she's kind of sometimes talking to Jen, but she's not. She's, getting somebody a drink. So I don't know if you can see that, but Jen is right now talking to Matt. And Nick has the plaid white and black shirt, what looks like to be a plaid white and black shirt, against the wall. He's laughing right now, talking to Matt McCabe in the back corner, right? So they're not sitting. They're behind the table.
Yeah, and as we're going to see, Nick has sort of the best view of almost everything going on throughout the night. The only problem is his mindset probably at this night is there's no animosity, there's no hostility. I'm not going to remember guys goofing around or why psychologically they're doing it. He just doesn't know the intricate details, and how could he at this point? Because we would want Nick to see and say what he heard because he was right there, but I don't think his mindset was something to record any of this information because it just wasn't anything relevant. Meaning he didn't know that there was going to be a murder, obviously, and he didn't know that there was even conflict.
Well, and here's something interesting. I wish somebody, maybe we could get Emily on the case here. One, we would love to find out. He does see, and he's cut out of the zoomed in shots. So I can't remember. I think it was Microdots. Yeah, it was Microdots who originally put out the incident between Higgins yelling at John at the bar. Because they zoomed all the way in to show us that, we don't see that Nick actually is the one John turns to and makes some kind of a statement immediately following that interaction with Higgins.
Yep.
So when it's zoomed all the way out, we can see that it's Nick who he talks to. You'd love to know, like, does he remember any of that? Did he catch it at all?
And when we get to that point and of the video, it's important that courts don't allow so much editing, because if you just zoom in on Higgins, you think that he's always talking to John. From what I did in my analysis today and yesterday was that it looks very plausible that Higgins is saying this to Karen, and he's saying it right at Karen. And when we get there, we'll see. But it looks like Jen is saying, "Are you talking to me?" Like, he must have been saying something. And I want you, we'll see that hopefully in this wide enough shot. So I guess we can move ahead to when right before Brian, right before John gets in there. Yeah. Yes. So what time would that be?
I think it's 10:50 about. Okay. Yeah, right about. But I also want to point out before I do that, Jennifer in this video is talking to Karina right now. So Karina, I think, is at the end of the high top table, and Jen is sort of speaking to her. Also, look out for this. Caitlin, who will speak to John, despite her testimony that doesn't happen, ends up being on the left side of Jen at that high top table. And you'll see, because she inserts herself in a conversation that John is having with, I think, Chris and Julie, who are also on the back end of that left side table.
Interesting. So, if you can point out Caitlin when you see her, because I never really paid attention to her. I didn't really see her at this. We should move ahead a little bit here.
I'm trying. I got to get out of this screen to do it. Okay, here we go. All right. Should be coming momentarily.
I'm almost certain they come in at 10:54. So let's see. It's right there.
10:53.
This is important. When we talk about baseline, right? Like Higgy Bear just sitting there now by himself, not humping Brian Albert, not flirting with Brian Albert or grabbing Brian Albert's ass. He's just really by himself.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we'll watch how he completely changes. His demeanor totally changes when they arrive, right?
I could stare and observe Higgy Bear in his natural habitat all day long. I love it. When you see that flash, Sam, from the phone, does that mean that they're using Face ID to open it up?
I think they're doing both. There are people taking pictures. So there are both people taking pictures and there are people that are pulling out their phone. By the way, there's Caitlin. So Caitlin is in the back. She's got a beer in her hand. She's talking to Matt McCabe right now. She's next to Jen. And here's Karen and John.
Okay, so here we go.
And what's the
obviously
the first
we've
thing
seen
you
this
noticed,
before?
Right?
Right. It's a subservient, like hands open. And the weird thing is, and I pointed out in my video today, is that remember that since November to the January 15th, Brian Higgins and John were texting every day. And it was a bromance. It really was. It wasn't just a frivolous relationship. This was a bromance that they had. Now, all of a sudden, and we have to keep this in mind, does John pick up on the coldness that he received? Because it went from everything to Sunday morning, XO, introduced to my girl, to nothing. A complete ghost of text. That is very odd for a guy. You have to put yourself in. And is John that dumb to realize something's up if your friend didn't text you for 14 days for no reason?
Well, no, let's think about this, though, because Karen tells us right after the Patriots game. So the last text between Brian and John is the morning after. There's Brian saying he's hungover, right? He's like, I don't know how you're up or whatever to John because he was hungover. Then we know from Karen that John showed her the Ring camera footage and said, what are you, hooking up with him? And that was about the Patriots game the night before. After that, all communication between John and Higgins stops. And this is the first time that they interact that we know of. That we know of since the Patriots game. I think it's the last time they interact. Because there was a hillside trip, but I don't remember when that was.
Yeah, we have to remember that there was a reference to her deleting her midnight text. I don't believe that's from the Patriots game. I think there was another time for which Higgins was referring to the fact that Karen was all over him and being flirtatious and saying things that he liked. And she said she deleted that. I don't know if that was before or after, but it does make sense, or it's actually relevant if they actually met before this. But for certain, these two have not communicated directly via text for 14 days leading up to
John
this.
and Brian. John and Brian
Yes.
have not communicated. Yes. And that's critical timing. Now, here's the thing that I wanted to watch for in this video today, John, because I am very much leaning towards John being the aggressor. Now, I know that you think Higgins is taunting and threatening. I don't. I think from this video, he's trying to get him to the house. I don't think he's pointing to his head. I think he's pointing to let's go, because of the fact that so is Brian and Nicole. It looks like everybody's like, come on, let's go. And he's
all right, we'll get there.
drunk,
Like
and
I've changed my hypothesis. I won't say it right this second because I want to hear it.
Sure.
I want to see your opinion on it and hear your opinion on it when we get there. So there's more. We'll get there. I promise you. You just want to rush to the climax.
Get there, though, I want to show everybody something really important that you pointed out. When John walks in, so I tend to focus anyway, on him and Higgins. Watch the embrace between John and Brian Albert. It's a long embrace. It's an oddly long embrace. And Brian ends up realizing that John is kind of like touching too long, and then he hugs him back like twice. It's very strange. So watch that as he walks in again. So, and it is some subservient. You've pointed that out. There is a subservience happening with John here to both of these men.
Yep,
which is
100%.
Okay, so here, let's watch.
So we
this
want
one.
us to watch John and
watch
Brian
for
interact.
John and Brian Albert, who's the man to the left of Brian Higgins with the vest on.
Gotcha. Yep.
They're coming in, I think, like you were saying, it in 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Poor Higgins, man. His head goes quick like this. He sees John. He's looking for Karen.
Yeah. He's like, he does. He looks right for Karen, right?
Oh, please. I've studied every second of that big boy.
Wow, John.
All right, so
goes
here we
right
go.
to him. Yeah, look at him.
Yeah,
So
he's sort of leaning in. He's almost
him,
like bowing. Yep.
And then watch Brian Albert. Look, see, he grabs him back. Like, okay.
Right.
And they're still talking. It's like a little bit, it's interesting.
Yeah, everything's cool right there. But again, in John's mind, does he recognize the fact that he hasn't really texted with Brian for a while? And we'll get to that. All right, so then we can move ahead to like 11:02, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
In this. And we're going to see that Brian Higgins, Brian Albert, and John are going to be talking. This is sort of the beginning of when they talk at 11:02.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so John is in, you wanted to see, this is good timing. So this is when Caitlin inserts herself in the conversation John is having. That's funny. So we can see that too. So you'll see here, this is right before he goes over. So he's making his way around the room, it looks like, right? So he starts in the corner. Now he's talking to Caitlin. He's actually talking to whoever's next to Caitlin, who I think is probably Julie and Chris Albert. But you see how she kind of keeps inserting herself. And if you watch before this part where he speaks back, she kind of keeps like leaning into his conversation to be a part of the conversation, which I think is really interesting. So that is Caitlin.
But those two wouldn't know each other, right? For the most part.
No, but the thing is, during their testimony, and Caitlin I've studied many times, she makes a very big deal that, there was no interaction whatsoever. He comes over at one point and maybe says, can I buy you guys need something at the bar? Now that's odd because the bar is right behind them. So the whole thing is silly because she's still talking to him. They've been now talking for maybe 4 or 5 minutes even.
Interesting. Yeah, John's a veteran of the bar scene clearly, and he's very generous too. Like he's always one that's buying drinks. You have a friend that's like that, and some guys are like that, and it's generous. And you see him offer a bunch of times, and he actually does pay, I think, for someone's drink.
Yeah,
or at least offers.
Yeah. He's still talking to Caitlin, so that's still. Hopefully, you guys can see this, make this out pretty good, and people are taking photos. So I think that those clicks, I think they are pictures actually.
It depends on
Seems
what
like
it
an
is.
awful lot of pictures, but
I was speaking about Brian Higgins in particular because if he's claiming he butt dialed someone, but if he has to use his face in order to open his phone, obviously that makes it impossible for him to have butt dialed anybody.
So I think we just for, and you guys, well, this is a question for all of us that have iPhones. I'm pretty sure that the only exception to having to use your FaceTime to call is if the phone is unlocked from a previous interaction with the phone.
Right.
So like if
true.
I put it right in my pocket, I might be able to act like my ex-husband used to call me all the time right after we would hang up.
Okay.
So I think that's probably how it happens.
He's not that bright, though. All right, so now John is there at 11:02 and 45 seconds. So if you look right in the middle, we have John, then we have Brian Albert, and then you have Brian Higgins. Higgins is sort of hanging behind Brian Albert for most of this conversation. We can move it ahead to 11:15.
I want to make sure that everybody sees this.
Okay.
So just to be 100% clear, you'll see Higgins is now leaning in a little bit closer to Brian Albert, but John is talking to Brian Albert specifically. It's clearly a conversation between him and Brian Albert.
100%.
Which is interesting.
Did Brian Albert testify that he really didn't converse with
Yes.
John on this night?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's not true, obviously, because you were going to see it's over 23 minutes. So from here until 11:23, 11:25, they were going to be talking, those three, exclusively. And at one point, you're going to see Brian Higgins show them something on his phone. And I don't think it was anything nefarious. He just, guys show things on their phone.
Whatever.
It wasn't
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're going to see that they're still smiling. Is there a way you can zoom this in somehow?
Let me think about
What
it.
kind of system
Maybe.
you got going on here?
Well, right now, this is just playing on YouTube. I certainly could
Oh, that's
zoom it
playing
in.
on YouTube?
Yeah.
Usually you could
Yeah.
scroll on YouTube and zoom in, I think. Actually, I don't know.
I don't know if it's
you can a little bit.
on your phone. You can. I don't know if I
Yeah.
can do it here.
All right, no big deal.
So we're going to 20. Is that what you said?
11:20. And again,
Still
this is just
talking. There he is.
still
John is
talking.
still there. Yeah. That's crazy. Look at that. He's still there.
Yeah, this is so significant. This is not an insignificant amount of time because they're not there that long.
No. And now Brian Albert has like moved his positioning. So now he's actually facing John even more so. Which is crazy. Yeah, they're knee deep in a conversation without a doubt.
Yeah. And I've studied their faces after. Everything is friendly and they were going to part friendly. So you can even keep moving up to 11:25. I think John eventually leaves them.
11:23.
He's still there.
Is he closer though now?
He's
now
closer to
he's
Brian.
moved up, right?
And look where Higgins moves to the right.
To the back
and
end
he just
of the
flashed
table.
his phone. Yeah, so it's the three guys right in the middle underneath the timestamp. John's right
And
underneath
what
the
time
three.
is the Unwell? Is that 11:30? Did that just happen, or is that a little?
No, 11:32 is the Unwell. So
Okay.
so John's going to leave them, but at some point he may come back. Yeah, let's go to like 11:29 for example.
Well, note here, just importantly, look where Karen is. So now Karen is with Katrina.
You got to point it out,
Karina.
like because
I don't know if I can. Can you see that? If I do that, no, right?
No,
So
but I guess
Karina,
in
I don't
top
think
right.
there's a way.
Well, next to Nick the
Yes.
Greek. Nick the Greek's in the checkered shirt. You could see him easily on the top right. That's Karen.
And you'll see Brian Higgins is closer to Karen. So they are coming together. She's speaking to Karina. Karina has the white jacket on her chair and the black sweater with her back to us. And look how this is Karen and Brian Higgins are getting closer together. Right? It's 11:24 and they're
100%.
already moving closer together. It's wild
Right.
to watch.
Absolutely wild.
Oh.
And listening to Alan Jackson's questioning, it was Karen positioned herself all the way
Away.
across from you the entire time. It was nothing with regard to them ever getting close. And Higgins is like, sort of like, no, when he responds.
That's not the way I felt. Right. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And
Well,
he
then we
was
talk
right.
about it. Yep, he was. And I was wrong about the situation. All right, so let's move ahead to 11:30.
Look at this. He's still with Brian Albert, though. I mean, this is wild. Brian Albert literally tells us that they have no interaction. And by the way, now you can see Nicole. Nicole is across from Brian Albert. just in case you weren't sure where she was, that's where she is now. Looks like they moved down because the band took a break, perhaps.
Yeah, at some point, John walks away, but then I believe he comes back.
Okay,
so he's
so
not
now
there right now.
John-
So Higgins is to the right, and obviously now he's no longer the sad sack sitting at the end of the high top table. Karen's there. I mean, Karen's close to him, pretty close right now.
She's across from him right now, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Karen is where... No? Where is Karen? Is that Karen? Yeah, I think Karen is next to Jen, between Jen and Karina. In the back.
That's a pretty good-looking group of girls. So Higgins must be on alert because we know from his private text between John and himself, they're always looking for girls, married girls. He can convert a lesbian. It doesn't matter as long as they're good-looking and don't have a mullet. I mean, let's be real as to how they were talking. I didn't give Higgins enough credit. I thought Higgins didn't have any game at all. He actually
Here's John.
did.
Look at this.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
John comes back. Go ahead, stop it.
Comes back and he's touching him now. So he
This
was
is
in the
Brian
bathroom.
Albert.
Yeah, he comes back and he's now touching Brian Albert.
Sam, can we stop for a second?
That's wild. Yeah.
Okay, we are cousins with the chimpanzees and the bonobos, and grooming is not necessarily taking little insects off them. It's a part of their communication and their hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I see a lot of grooming of Brian Albert by both men as sort of the alpha male in their situation. Brian Albert's not the strongest here, but in their minds, he is the dominant one. And
He's the
this
dominant
is just
one.
Right? It's just an observation. I believe that it would be a close fight between Higgins and John, and I don't think Brian Albert, just because of his age, but he's definitely the one that controls. And there is a struggle between Brian Higgins and John as to who gets to touch Brian Albert more, and we're going to see that, and it gets crazier than what you just said. And I didn't even realize how John was touching Brian Albert a lot too. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's wild. It's so interesting because the way Brian Albert talks about the interactions with John is like he was on the other side of the world. I mean, both him, Nicole, Caitlin, they all speak about him like he's doesn't even come over, besides for a second, which is just so not true.
Let's catch up on these questions before we get to this next part, because it is going to get interesting.
Let's
if you
catch
don't
up on
mind.
question.
Because I don't like when a lot of shows, they wait to the end and then they're asking questions about something that happened at the beginning.
I know. So let me get somebody.
You do a good job.
Amber Terry became a YouTube member. Yay. Thank you, Amber Terry. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I love new members. Groovy Baby Music Ma. Oh, I like that name. Yay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm catching up now. I'm kind of going back. Here we go. Mackenzie. Hi, Mackenzie. Welcome back. $4.99. Sam, have you noticed Judge Bev never completes...
What?
Judge Bev never completes a sentence. I mean never. Is that normal? I would ask you, in what context? Are we speaking about in sidebars? Are we speaking about during the trial? Because I think all of those different contexts are going to be different, right? She's altering her presentation based on the context. We all do that to some degree. But I think she really wants the jury to like her. And from what we understand, that works very well. Both juries liked her a lot because she was very kind to them.
And Sam, Corey Hopkins, sorry to interrupt you, just texted me and said, Mackenzie, you can text me privately and I'll answer any questions that you have. For some reason, Corey
excellent.
Hopkins sent that to Mackenzie. I think she's looking at the picture.
Oh, would you stop? That's not it, Mackenzie. Don't listen to him. He's being silly. Andrea Patterson, 85 cents, 19.99. Thank you so much, Andrea Patterson. My thoughts are that before John arrived, everyone was discussing Higgins and Karen. I believe this discussion started at the Waterfall, and Jen knew about it when she invited them to the house. So you're not the only person that suggested that, and we're going to take a closer look at that. That's part of, I think, why we're looking at this today, is to see kind of the ending. Where is everybody at the very end as they are leaving? Because clearly there was a discussion, unlike what the Alberts tell us in trial, which is that they didn't know nobody was invited. She just whispered it to her, Jen, right? Clearly that's not true. So you are right. I don't know. I think it's a really important question, though, because Something happened before they got there that they don't want us to know about.
And I have
There's
a new
no
theory. I'm
question
going
about
to
it.
release it at the end.
Oh, this is exciting. I love new theories.
Hopefully not
At
before
Ricky
the end.
B sends $10. TBD, former cybersec turned blackjack dealer. Oh, that's exciting. I'm the one that emailed. Oh, yes, of course. Oh my God. Like, how could I forget that? That was like one of my favorite emails of all time. I was like so jealous reading that. I drive 1.5 hours, park in garage, walk through casino, and phone stagnant at home. No data walking down the stairs, only up.
Well, that's what
Okay, so
the
we
rep
knew
from
that
Apple
part.
said. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is, though, in trial number, it could have been the second trial. Either way, Sir Ian Whiffen claims that there were 3 flight changes and that it does change if it goes down. That's not what I heard from the Apple employee that I know, she's a real tech person that actually does the developing. However, I don't know if Celebrate pulls off data and that's the way their report is. It's not certain, but Ian Whiffen showed us 3 elevation changes. 2 of them were going up, but 1 was going down. In theory, that shouldn't have been the issue, although he didn't follow the entire path that Karen did with regard to elevation. Remember, she goes to I call it Minecraft. What do the kids play? Minecraft? Minecraft, whatever the fuck that road is. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right,
Yes.
so he didn't actually follow that. But, I mean, I know Ian's perfect, but he did claim in trial that there would be an elevation change by going down, and that's not what supposedly should happen.
Not for that particular feature, right? Because the whole thing is about exercise. So walking down is just not as important as, walking up and burning calories and all of that. But that is very interesting that there's no data. So the other question I think, too, that you're kind of alluding to is, are there 2 different sets of data? Does Cellbrite have a more extensive, set of data where they would see stairs up or down as opposed to just reading off of the Apple Health data? I guess that's really the question.
Well, to be clear, ultimately the Apple data is the ultimate. There's no way that you can have better data than it. All you're making, if you're Celebrite, is a software that reads or attempts to read the Apple data. You don't get the Apple data. You get to read it. And so that's why they have to keep changing. That's why there will be the issues like the 227 fake Google search. Things happen because it's just a reader. It's not the actual data itself.
Well, and Apple's constantly upping their game to try to keep out police, right, and law enforcement. So it's kind of this constant cat and mouse game, which I very much appreciate, by the way, about Apple, I have to tell you. Michelle, your bell 17 sends $10. Calm down, simmer. The best place to be on Monday afternoons. Cheers to you guys. Denise and the whole Headband Chat crew. Oh, we love having you here. Thank you for being here. And yes, huge shout out to Denise, the greatest moderator the world has ever known. But she really, really is. So we love you, Denise. You are very much the best. Mr. G70 sends $5. Maybe both Brian Higgins and Karen are purposely ignoring each other. They do a group shot, and Brian never looks at Karen when we done usually make eye contact. Yeah, well, we do know he texts her. So I think what's happening is, so remember how Brian Higgins always puts the ball back in her court? Always. Every conversation they have, he's like, what do you want, Karen? Are you messing with me? Like, what's your intent with me? Like, I want the real thing. And she dances around it every time he asks, which is constantly throughout their text exchange. She keeps dancing around it. Like, I don't know what you're asking for, even though she does. And she's just evading. Right. So I think he is looking for much more overt signaling from her because he doesn't want to do this in front of John.
I agree. Totally agree.
I think
and you're going to see during the shot,
it.
Sam, you could see, it's funny, you could literally see Brian Higgins looking away. Now, after that, we're going to see more interaction. We'll get there. The next big event coming up is the 1132 Unwell text.
Yes, we're almost there. Let me get to a couple more of these. Amy La 1972 is a member for 8 months. Holy crap. Love this channel. We love you too. Your vibe, our Vince, our Denise. I am here for all of it. We love you too. Everybody, don't forget, check out Amy Law 1972. Amy has her own channel, which is just a really kind and warm place to be, I have to tell you. And Amy Law, I heard about the reading, and I'm going to hit you back up as soon as I can for that. I have another big test on Wednesday, so after today, I'm turning my attention back to that. But after that, we're going to have to get together to do a reading. I think that's awesome. And thank you for being here. We love you. Okay, so Mackenzie sends $9.99. She says, in the sidebars, she sounds anxious, like she can't get her thoughts together. You're right. I noticed that. That's why I asked you about the sidebars. Yeah, and it's hard to tell because we're only reading the transcript. So it's hard to tell if she's like hovering because that's the way she asks questions. And because we're not actually seeing the exchange, it is a little odd that it's like everything she does ends with a ... which is a little strange for sure. But I think it's because she's asking a question.
There's clearly a power struggle most of the time, and she does feel insecure, and she is inferior to most of the attorneys that are up there. Oh, my phone keeps... Oh, and Mackenzie, Corey said that she has some information on the sidebars that you're asking, and just to Google Corey Hopkins, and she'll answer them for you.
And also... there were videos a long time ago during the trial that I had done on her because I was freaking out trying to figure out what was going on with Bev. So they're old, but I bet if you put in the search, like just her name, it'll come up. And I think it sort of speaks to what you're talking about, though not directly. But it's probably the closest thing I've done so far on Bev, on her like insecurity, which is what I think this is about. To Vince's point, she's an interesting character, though. Like, she really wants to make it clear that this is her courtroom and that they are visitors, which is fascinating. Okay, so let's get back to our link here.
Can you make us off the screen and just get this full screen? We don't need to see my face. Yeah, may help out a little bit.
All right, let's see. We're going to remove ourselves. I don't know, but they can't hear us if I remove us.
Oh, word? You sure?
Yeah, I know. Wait. No, for sure, yes, because it tells me right away. Let me try this. Now that makes us bigger. Try this. Oh, there we go.
Look at us. There we go.
That's better. Okay, here we go.
All right, cool. Yeah, here we are. We're in the waterfall. I like this. All right, so we're just playing now, but we're going to see that John is back. So after all that talking, the 23 minutes, he's now back. Higgins is to the right, and at 11:32 and 2 or 3 seconds, he's going to text Karen. So can we see where Karen is?
She's right here. She's right across from him.
Yeah. He can smell her, basically. He's that close.
Yep, she's right across from him.
Just a little bit.
I'm looking at John, though. I'm just watching his hand.
Look, there's Higgins. He checks his phone again. There must be something with that flash. It's being picked up. He must be using Face ID. But the phone's not that close to the face, though. Every single time he picks it up.
I think it will recognize you, though. I think it will recognize you from afar, right? Pretty sure it does.
Well, you know what's interesting, too? Think about it. Higgins just did that while John is talking to Brian Albert, almost in a jealousy way. You know, like when there's a hierarchy amongst guys. It's like, why would you check your phone if this is your good buddy for all this time? Right? So it's like he's not even engaged in this conversation.
Wait a minute. Not only check your phone, he's texting Karen. John is right there in a conversation with them. Okay.
Right, well, we're not there yet. It's going to be at 11:32. I've seen this. I've seen him take out the phone.
11:32. Okay.
11:32. So is he thinking? He goes to the phone again. He hasn't texted her yet, though. It's 11:32.
Okay.
But it's interesting how, like, it's almost like a scorn lover, or like if your best friend as a kid is talking to another person and you're sort of...
So wait. Karen is actually... Does it look like she just jumped up onto the table and now she's leaning over it?
That's
so now her head is closer to Brian Higgins.
You better believe it is. You could see it. They're right there. And she's being animated right in front of him. Higgins turning around there.
Yeah. He sees it. He sees what she's doing.
It's getting close now. He's got 30 seconds left, and he's going to break down and text her. And this is just so fascinating. Yeah.
This is the Unwell text, guys. This is what he's responding to. This is why he's motivated to send it, though, right? Because he's like, what are you doing, Karen? what's going on, right? That's why he sends it. Like, John is right in front of him. Now John is moving closer to the other side, but he was standing there.
Right. He's got his phone out.
Wow. Right now.
Yeah.
Looks like.
Is that her right in front of him?
She's to the right of Karina.
Got it.
She's right in front of him.
Right, right there. Yeah. Got it.
Just off to his right. Now she's okay.
well.
So now she takes off. She
Phone
just
back in the
went-
back pocket. So he just sent it.
He just sent it, and Karen left at the same time. That's very strange. So she says, by the way, that like she hadn't checked her phone, and we actually don't see her check her phone. Not that that means she didn't. We just don't see it.
Right. And that was the thing with regard to asking this as an attorney, if you know that there's a subsequent meeting between Karen and Higgins, which we will see, obviously, then the Unwell text could have worked or maybe not. But either way, he's not going to be ignored.
Yeah, he's not ignored. No.
Okay,
he's
so
like the
11:30
star of the show, actually.
Yeah. So let's see, 11:33.
Where's Karen though? So she took off here. Just want to. She must have gone to the bathroom.
No. She's back there. You can see Brian. He opens up his body to her. See his feet right there.
I see him. She's not there. She just took off. So she was there. She's not there
I'm
now.
concerned she's around there.
I think she just left.
Oh, here we go.
saw
All right,
her-
all right. No, hold on. This is the male behavior, right? Brian initiates this. This is all to get her attention, obviously.
Wait, Brian.
So she has to be in
Albert
there. Look at these two.
initiated this? She's not there right now.
Higgins
I don't think she's
initiated.
there
She
right
has to be somewhere
She's not
because he
right
wouldn't
there
be
right
doing.
now.
I think that's her
She-
right there.
Right where?
There's
That's not
only three
Karen.
girls. There's
No.
Karina.
This is Nicole. That's Nicole, Jen, and Karina. Karen,
I thought-
we just saw her take off past the people at the bar behind them. So where did she go? That's really strange. She
We'll
must
find
have gone to the bathroom.
No. She's always in the screen somewhere.
I'm telling you, I just saw her take off.
Okay.
Let's go back here. Let's watch for that. That's important because I never realized that she may not be in that scene where he starts the fighting. So wait, let's go back.
Well, 11. We saw her at 11.
All right, there she is. So
30.
she's right there.
Okay.
She's up on the table. So let's watch her. Keep an eye on her and see, like a shadow. All of a sudden, she kind of shoots behind everybody, like she's going to the bathroom. It looks like. And it's right at the same time that he sends the text. So it's 11:32. You said we can forward to
Yep.
that. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like right at the same time. So wait, watch this. So there she is. I mean, is it actually the same time? That would be crazy.
She's right
I didn't-
there.
She's
Right
right
next
there.
to Karina. Yeah, right
Yep.
there. Right.
So now keep an eye on Karen. It seems like the moment he sends the text, she literally exits and like takes off.
Well, he just stared at her, and then he just opened his phone right there.
Right.
I
So
still
now
see
watch
her.
Karen. Keep an eye on Karen.
I got her. She's right next to Karina.
And so he's sending it now. There she goes. You see her moving? There she goes. She just took off. Did you see it?
I saw someone move towards John to the left there.
Yeah, watch again. It's really quick, but there she is. There's Karen.
Got it.
The text went through.
Well, he's
Nice,
doing it
so
right
weird.
about now. Jen's moving her
Oh, okay.
hands.
Yes. Yes. And then it's funny that Nicole looks like Jen on the camera, right?
Yep.
There she goes. There goes Karen. So she does take off, and now she's next to John. Or
Okay,
somebody
so-
else. I don't know who that is.
Can we play
She's under the number 2, you guys.
Got it. Can we play it in double speed? Because there are certain things that I don't want to miss, and I'm not sure about the exact time.
You want to go faster or slower?
Faster, baby.
Why?
Just because we've seen this already.
Oh, okay. Well, we did see this already, but I just want to please Karen because they are doing the fighting thing, and she appeared to have left the stage. So I just wanted to see where she is in the scene. She might be wherever John is. Is this John over on the left side of the table? Where's John?
John's underneath the 11.
He is underneath the 11. Okay, so
yeah.
he's still over on this side.
He's Higgy
Talking
Bear's
to
checking
somebody.
his phone.
Oh, this is probably Chris. That's who he's talking to, is Chris Albert. Which makes sense, actually. Okay.
He's looking around for somebody.
Yeah, he's looking for Karen.
You think?
Right? So where did she go? Where is Karen? He sends the text, and the next thing he knows, though, she disappeared. That's kind of funny.
See, Brian Higgins pushes Brian Albert, and then they start this. Karen, please pay attention to me.
Karen is not in this frame.
Speed this shit up a little bit. We'll catch her back.
But I just want to see where she is. She's not with... Maybe she's talking to... No, Julie's gone already, right? She's not over there. Maybe she's talking to Chris. On the other side of John. You want me to just play it, speed it up?
Yeah, a little bit. Look at these two.
Yeah, look at that. Okay. Still have not relocated. Oh, no, it's Nicole. Still no Karen.
She's back there.
Where?
I mean, I don't see her, but I know that she's back there. It's hard to see from.
But no, she's not though. Where is she? This is important. Okay, wait. No, that's the bartender. She's got to be under like the 4 if she's in the frame, because we don't see her. She's not over here. Oh, there is that her right there? Yes, there she is. So now she's reappeared on the other side of the bar.
Yeah, I believe this is where Higgins does his little ducking to try and see her.
Okay, so now she is... I don't know who I can't tell who that person is that she's speaking to at the bar. I don't know if that's somebody that we know. She's like behind Nicole. Here she is.
Yeah.
Okay, now she's back. Nope, she took her drink.
Wherever Brian's face is going, that's basically the indicator of where she'll be.
Okay, so now she's kind of performing a bit. What time do they actually walk out? The first group.
11:55, 11:54, 11:55.
Okay, so here's John and Karen embracing. This might be the like forehead kiss. He goes past her. That was weird. Right? He like brushes by her.
What speed are we at right now? Is it double?
1.5. You want me to bring it to double?
Yeah, just for now till.
Okay. So we have Karen with her arm around Jen. Looks like they're taking a picture.
We've seen all that before.
A lot of pictures. There's just a lot of pictures people are taking. It's cute. It's crazy. I mean, yeah, to this point, there's no fighting for sure. Nobody's fighting yet.
No, and I don't really see that. And maybe at the end we'll get there, but I didn't see that at all. Even to the point where you could see the smiles on their faces for the most part. Brian is obsessive of checking his phone after he sent that text, and he'll never get a response from her.
But
from the phone.
Right. But she's now, I mean, if you look at where she is now, somehow she's managed to be literally with nobody, Karina stood up because she's getting ready to leave, I guess.
Yes. Okay. This is important, actually, because this is the hood thing that Brian does. I don't know if you saw my video on the psychology of a guy putting their hood up.
I did. I saw the hood thing, but hold on. Also, there's another thing about this scene. There's that, but John is also in this scene. So John is behind Karen, and he has a line of sight to both of them.
There's
That's
the hood.
important too.
Right. This is crazy. Like, isn't that funny that he does that? Human apes are so predictable, and he sees that they're probably leaving, and he's getting antsy too. You can almost see in the body. I know we're sped up a little bit, but he does put his hood over his head.
I wondered too, is that because he thinks they're leaving, or is it like a boxing thing?
No, I looked up the psychology of why a male human ape would do that. I mean, there's few reasons, but there's only a few. Mainly, it's to signal to her that you want to talk because you could be leaving.
I heard you say that, and that could definitely
Didn't agree
be.
with it. It's okay to disagree with it.
I don't
exactly.
know.
We don't know. These are just indicators. But you know one thing, you saw his baseline. Did you ever see Higgins pull up his hood at any point while he was still there? No. I mean, so there's a reason his body is doing that, and there's not many reasons to do it. But the main objective is to get Karen's attention. I mean, he's literally going to have his friend hump him pretty soon in order to get this done.
Yes. Okay. To me, he's drunk. He's really drunk also. Oh, there the lights.
There go the
Is
lights.
That
You know that.
Now we
You
have
can literally
lights.
feel the lights going on, can't you?
Okay.
Like you can feel it.
It's awesome because you can see. So no, I didn't realize the timing there. That's important. The hood was right before the lights go on. So you're potentially very right that he is getting ready to leave, right? Because there's no jacket. He's not wearing a jacket.
Right.
Right.
My theory is he doesn't want to leave. He wants to talk to Karen, and that's why he's signaling that. He saw that Karina had her jacket on.
But it's also a minute before like the last call, right? Because they don't turn the band.
So you're saying
stops.
it could have just been. You're saying it could have been innocent.
Well,
like,
no, I'm saying it could have definitely been to indicate leaving because everybody is getting ready to leave, right?
Right, and obviously when we we have to go at that was 11:44. If we go back to normal speed and watch Higgins' head, and he'll tell you 11:43 in like 50 seconds.
Go back.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and to your point though, as we're waiting for Higgins to do his thing, Karen is right in the back there, but she's a little obstructed by somebody else.
She's right. Yes, but it's the first time we can truly see her face, and she's talking to Chris right now, who we also are only seeing right now because of the lights. We can actually see their
Look
faces.
at Higgy.
That's so interesting. So Karen had her face, the right side of her face towards him for the first time.
Yeah, and also Higgins doesn't know this, that we're observing him, but when he leaves, he doesn't put his hood on, right?
Right.
That tells you he doesn't put his hood on throughout the entire time, except for these 2 times where he looks like he's attempting to get her attention. I know it seems like a small little thing, but it's just indicative of his mindset at this time because you know it's closing time and your love is there. I mean, he's looking. If you watch his face right there, he keeps looking to the right.
Of course, he's looking
Again,
right at her.
Look.
Yeah.
And
He's
I'm not
looking at
faulting
her,
Brian Higgins. Yeah,
trying to pay attention, trying to pretend like he's paying attention to Brian Albert, right? Then he has to find a reason to look at Matt.
Mm-hmm.
But she still hasn't. I mean, she's making her way over to him too. So
Yeah,
she's sitting there talking to John. This is so weird.
But then the thing about this is that also, I mean, we're paying attention to Higgins, but eventually you got to watch John. Oh yeah, look, Higgins is looking at. Ooh, this
I'm
is
watching
crazy.
John now.
Yeah,
Look at
yeah.
John's looking at Karen, but he's right behind Karen, right? So it's important to pay attention to John. There's Chris.
I think they're doing a shot. I think we're coming up to this. We can go 2 times on this.
Is that what they're doing? Oh yeah, he's
they're
giving
handing out
everybody a
shots.
shot.
And Higgins, look, and he still wants the attention. Look at this. This ain't no fucking play fighting.
Well, she's got her back to him now.
Well, yeah, you're doing it to get her attention, so you got to stop. All right, now she's turning a little bit. That's Karen right there, right?
That's Karen.
That's her right there. That's Karen. Yep, turning again.
She's right in front of him. She's talking to Brian. This is when she
This
comes
is the
over
shot.
and speaks
He's
to him.
Look, Brian's making everyone come over and do a shot. Karen doesn't drink it. And look at John lurking in the back. And this is important, too, throughout the rest of the night. Here comes a shot. Higgy doesn't look.
He doesn't do it, or he does?
I don't know if he drinks it. He has it in his hand. Brian Albert commanded everyone at the bar to react and do this.
Interesting.
And it's still going on.
Yeah,
Higgins drinks it. She doesn't drink it. Higgins does.
She does not. No, she does. Well, she's drinking something. She did it.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I never saw that, actually.
She did do it.
Is that the shot?
I think it was.
Wow. Wow, I thought she gave it to someone else. That's interesting.
Wait, let's look again. She drinks it like a shot, so it looks like that's what she did. Let's see. Oop, sorry, I went back too far. What time was that? Here it is. Okay. Yeah, it's also a little clear. You can see him better because the lights are on too.
Yeah.
It really helps. Yeah, she's definitely got her arm up and she's nodding, and whatever he's saying, she's... Wow. Oh, she's got it in her hand. She turns. She sips it. Nope, she does it. That is a shot.
All right. I can't do a shot. I'm a big pansy. I would throw up like a big baby.
I know.
Look at Higgins.
Probably would too.
And look, there's John. John and Karen are next to each other.
Comes Matt. Look at this. They're all three right together, right? It's so odd. Yeah, John is right there.
Right there. Let's see how Higgins is going to react to this. It's so great having the full video. Yeah. Well, you gotta do something because you can't talk to her. Look at that hair. It almost hits Higgy. That's Karen right to the right there.
Yeah. Touching Matt.
Higgins just looked. Oh, she's close now. Look at my Higgy there. The most honest part of your body as a human ape are your feet, apparently.
Yeah, because he gets closer to her. He puts his leg up on the chair, right? Look at this. Look,
she's doing... We've all done this. You want to do that, bitch? I'm going to do this.
Okay, yeah, look. Oh, my God. This is crazy. Look at this. Everybody's performing, right?
Please, Alan, play fighting. Not play. Practice fighting.
Right.
Please.
Well, they were kind of. I mean, that is kind of what's happening, right?
Hold on.
Fighting.
Do not defend this bullshit. If you want to be a behavioral scientist and you're studying human apes, this is not practice fighting. I mean, this
is, not legitimately, but this is a fighting stance. I mean, they are fighting. It's not,
right,
they're not dancing.
They're not doing that. Well, we're about to get to that. They're not doing this to practice fighting for a later fight.
No, of course not.
That's what I'm saying. No, but this all has a reason. This is to get a female's attention.
No, of course. Yeah,
right.
But I'm saying, I get why Alan Jackson had to bring it up, right? I mean, he had to. Of course
then you miss what was going on in this case. This is not getting ready to fight.
True.
This is getting ready to get your client's attention. That's all this is. That this is the killer. You're looking. I mean, or the potential killer, right? You're looking at the person.
But the fighting is important because if they do go on to fight, it does speak to the fact that somewhere in the psyche there is fighting. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas, you're not going to catch me at the bar, fighting. You know what I'm saying? You're never going to see that because it's not who I am. And I get that they're men, but I've never seen two men do that. I've never seen it unless they were really trying to fight.
Yeah, well, you've seen guys horse playing around. They're doing that to get your attention. In the pool, you've seen it in your life.
Sure,
we do it all the time.
In the bar, that's my point.
Fine.
And John does die 40 minutes later.
Right, and there's only 10 people on the earth that could be a potential suspect, and one has a huge motive, love of his girlfriend. That's what this is. This isn't fighting. This is to show that this guy's in love. Look at him hanging out there.
No, I know what you're saying. I completely get it. I'm just saying I understand why the defense did bring it up.
If you brought it up, you were completely wrong as to where you're going. Look at my Karen there. She's play fighting. I don't know if you saw that, but I picked it up on another video.
She does. Yeah. Jen tells us that.
Really?
Jen said, I feel like Karen was doing it a little bit too. Yes.
Oh, yeah, doing like this. Yeah, she's like Karen.
Yeah, she's going like this. And
look at Higgins. Look at that. Remember, the most honest part is the foot. He had that foot up there. Mm-hmm. His body open up to her.
He's looking for her. I mean, he's definitely looking to get her attention. With John standing right there.
That's the issue. And this could lead to my new hypothesis. Is John aware of what's going on? And we're going to see at the end. And is he really the one going to 34 Fairview to attack Brian?
Yeah.
I'm just asking this question, and I'm putting it out there because there's something about Karen dropping John off that is not sitting well with me. But I don't want to distract from what we're seeing here, because this is important, because leading up to that.
Okay, let's see. And they walk out at what time?
At 11:55, 11:56. So it's coming up.
That's when Higgins walks out. That's when Higgins walks out. John walks out at like 12:11.
Right. But it's important to figure out, like, what the hell was going on the way out. Right. Look at her hair. It's just there, right? It's for the taking, poor Higgy. And Higgy Bear is just standing there. What are you going to do? Look, he's even moving closer to her. Oh,
yeah,
man.
and Brian Albert is definitely aware of the situation, right? I mean, he knows what's going on.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I think he
wouldn't
does.
Oh, man, look at Higgy. Look, they're so close now. Oh, he looks at her.
Yeah, she backed up. She got closer to him.
Uh-huh. We're getting there.
So now Jen's got John in a conversation.
Look at how close they are right there.
They're almost touching.
Almost. Almost.
Look at this. They're so close.
Oh, wait, let me try my hood again. Wait, my hood? No. Oh, she didn't. Look, he turns right there. Didn't see it. Look, puts it right back down.
That's crazy.
You can do your thesis on this. And look at that hair leaning back. Hair on a female obviously is a symbol of fertility, of sexuality. Long hair.
So
keep observing now. It's 11:51. We know that they're going to touch at 11:53 and 7 seconds approximately. So at some point, these two are going to make their way over to each other within the next minute. I think it's 11:53.
Okay,
yeah.
So Karen though has to be aware of where both men are simultaneously. Right now. She's got to be aware of when her moment is to move closer to Higgins.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, if you keep an eye on John, he's always seeing that. And that's sort of what, he sees it.
He sees it. He tries not to be obvious about it, but he sees it.
Okay. Look at, Brian they're so close right now. And they're,
he almost falls into her.
Look at him. John's there.
John looks at his phone.
And you know the juggle if you've ever been in Karen's situation. It's a juggle. Keeping both people.
Look at her. She turns subtly.
Here we go.
To the left. She just, you guys see
she's
that?
talking right over Brian.
Quite the
Look
turn.
at this. Okay.
Look at John's smile.
Oh, see,
Oh, that's interesting. Let's back this up just a second.
Yeah, this is the entire case.
Turn.
Go ahead.
Watch Karen's. She turns in this like almost like she's gonna just back up and then makes the left completely, and then watch John. So there it is. So she backs her head up and then all the way turns.
All right, so now she's still talking over Brian, not directly interacting with Higgins. She's talking to Brian Albert. But look at, I mean, they're next to each other now. Okay, so you can't question them about never being next to each other. But more importantly, here we go. We're going to see she finally communicates. Look, he's staring right at her.
John's closer.
John's right there. John sees it. He even plays his hat.
He definitely sees it.
Right there. She just pushed him.
She pushed
him. At 11:53 and 19 seconds. If we go.
She pushed him. Yep. You are right.
And she acknowledges it. 11:50. What did I say? 11:53.
53:19.
Yeah.
So there's the move backwards. Then she turns all the way. She's talking to Brian Albert. Brian Higgins tries to pretend like he's not interested in their conversation.
Right?
Like he's looking away.
I've been in all these situations.
Of course.
And look, the thing is, John's hovering over back there.
He
and
moves
no one's
up.
talking to him. Yep. And here comes the touch. I mean, he still says something to both of them.
I don't know if they're talking about what they're going to be doing.
I don't know.
Right?
Whatever it is, he leans to.
There it is.
And there it is. And there it is. And for a guy, that's all we need, because look, her boyfriend's right behind you, so you're not gonna expect her to make out with you.
Look at this. Wait, look at this. Just
Go ahead.
watch this. Right before he hugs Karina, just watch John. Does he react to this? Does he react to Karen like pushing on Brian? I don't know. I'm just asking. Just keep an eye on. So 53:19 is the touch, and then watch John. So he's smiling. He's sort of engaging, right? Jen, everybody's okay. He goes closer. No,
Closer,
they're right
but
next to each other.
Yeah.
All three of them. All right, here comes the touch.
Mm-hmm.
And then watch John. There, right? She says that was. She said right, and she pushed him.
Yep, something to that effect.
She literally said the word right. You could see it. That's crazy.
I was telling this to my wife, who's disinterested in the case, but she knows that if you're ignoring someone, like if you really don't want to talk to someone, you don't get anywhere near them, you don't talk to them, you don't push their arm in a playful manner. Like
This is
really
not ignoring. Let's
no. This is obviously the opposite of ignoring.
Yes.
So everything that
John walks away here. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, you forget it. Don't worry about it. This is important.
Wait until this is over, because I want to see what the interactions here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This is what they're about to walk out.
Right.
So John is in the back talking. Looks like to Jen. He's got to settle up the tab, right?
No, but look, he's actually kind of like floating. I don't know if he's even talking. He's talking to Jen McCabe.
Right.
Now Higgins is
that's
torn here. No, now he's back. Sorry.
Now he's back.
Now he's back.
John is back. Yeah. Karina's getting ready to leave.
Higgy's going to do his sly glance over multiple times.
Yeah, John's looking for the check, I think. Right, he's trying to charge the bar.
Is this some, I don't know if this is where this occurs, but you see Brian go to groom Brian Albert another time. Hey, look at this. Here. Look, he put his pelvis right into him. We didn't see this the first trial. That move we didn't see.
Yep.
Oh no, we did
see this.
This is the humping. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they moved. I never realized they literally the table. They pushed the table back.
Technically, that's a wrestling move. I don't even know if Brian Albert's a wrestling. I know that move.
Yeah, I'm sure that Brian Albert has done wrestling. I'm sure he has.
Okay, we've seen that before. What I didn't see before was after they make out, the tickling of the neck.
Up there. Oh, look at that.
Look, these two are facing each other.
He's reacting to it. Did you see that?
Look,
John's reacting.
Yeah. So, and it wasn't necessarily in a negative way, but they're all trying to get to the alpha and groom the alpha, play with the alpha, hump the alpha, or get humped by the alpha. Sorry.
I just want to see this. Hold on. I just want to see John, if he's reacting to the fighting or what he's reacting to. Because he does make a comment or say something.
No, you would call them homos if you're joking around in a joking manner. That's when you would say this, right? And I don't know if that triggers Brian Higgins at all, but you would call them something if you saw your guy friends doing this.
I don't know if that's what he's doing, though. Hold on, let's see.
No, I don't know. But he's back there by himself, though, and he's seeing that the alpha.
He's got to pay the bill.
But he's right in front. He said something to them. He said something to Brian Albert.
He's saying something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's not in a negative way. I think he's even asking for a drink if they want another drink.
Maybe.
There's not hostility, though.
No, there's no hostility.
All right. So,
no, he's laughing. He's smiling.
So now they make out there.
He's looking right at him.
And there's the tickling. There's the tickling of the neck. I have this zoomed in on my video and on my it's so odd, but it's so funny.
It is.
You wouldn't think that these men that are allegedly straight would be doing that. Hand on ass.
I honestly
tickling the
don't
neck.
see. I don't see gay men doing this.
Yeah, my gay guys don't. Even, they would call these guys gay.
I think so, right? I don't know, but I don't see them doing this.
Even gay guys think they're gay. But the thing is, it's so fascinating. And then John's back is to them. Now, our original hypothesis was that Higgins was so upset because he was ignored, and now we know he's just been touched. 3 minutes ago? So he knows he's not ignored.
He's not being ignored.
But he doesn't want to. No, he doesn't want to leave either. Look, look. There's another time he's speaking in Karen's direction. Yep.
She's speaking back.
It even gets more drastic. There. Look at that. The 11:57 and 7 seconds. 11:57 and 7. We have to go back to that point.
So there is definitely. You want me to go back right now? There's definitely an interaction there.
11:57.
Here we go. 57.
Again, watch.
Yeah, he leans in. So
and her hand, if you watch it, see her hand. Yeah.
Oh, I see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep looking around.
Did that. I think she does it before too. Like right in maybe 10 seconds before her hand gets close to him.
Yes.
Like sneak.
But clearly.
It's a sneak.
Oh, right. Now, when Higgins says something, I don't know what that was. See, now this is the odd part. He looks back. We're going to have to go back and watch this again. But why would you leave a friend that you were texting all this time for 14 days, months, and then 14 days, nothing, and you just leave?
They know that they're going together because there was already been discussion about going. That's the thing. This isn't new because remember Karen kept saying she wanted to go make the pizzas and that was a big deal. So there was discussion about what they were going to be doing after.
Okay.
So there's and he's like, come on.
See how see this is in Karen's direction. It's not towards John. We're going to have to go back and look at this, but
there's so much going on here. Okay.
Yeah.
That's towards John.
The last part. Yeah.
Was definitely at John. And that's the part that Nick then sees. So let's go back. There's a lot going on here.
11:58 and 0 seconds.
All right. So they're all getting ready to exit. They're moving, right? Nicole, Brian, Caitlin is hugging Chris Albert. Goodbye. All right. There's the hood. Oh, you almost put the hood on. Did you see that? He almost put the hood on.
Yep.
He didn't put it on.
There's the arm grab that everyone made a deal out, but John's not looking.
John is
this?
playing.
Can we just tell me, is this in Karen's direction? This next part where he points to the head.
I don't know. It's a really good question. Because Karen,
John's not paying attention. He's not going to talk to Jen.
Wait a minute. It looked like Karen was in a conversation with Karina, but actually she is looking in the direction of him.
Yep.
And it does look like he's all right. So then now he waits. I think he's trying to get John's attention. He's like, yeah, come on, let's go. Right. Oh, it's hard to know. What is Chris saying here? This is tough. We got to watch this again. For a second, it looked like he was talking to Chris, but I don't think so. I think he's talking to Ryan Higgins. And maybe it's both, Vince. Like, maybe he's talking to Karen and then John.
I think he's talking to Karen, and then John turns around and notices that he's calling Karen out. And then John, for some reason, says something. And it doesn't look like in a friendly manner.
I don't know about that. Let's see. Okay. Everyone's okay. Chris is taking the jacket.
Who are we looking at now?
I'm watching the group that's walking out. John, I see. Karen is talking to Karina. So Brian goes to put the hood on.
John's back's completely to any of this. So any action right now is not going to affect John.
Yep. Now Brian's hovering. So that wasn't to Karen. Because that looked like he was trying to get somebody behind.
That has to be to Karen, because who else? He doesn't know Karina, and John was going the other way.
I think he's
now
waiting
John's
for
picking
John,
up on
though.
it.
I think he's
That's
waiting
what people
for
were
John.
saying, but I don't. I mean, he's not waiting. He's pointing to his head, and it looks like Karen's looking right at him.
It does look like Karen's looking at him. The first time it does look like Karen's looking at him.
Right. Who else would he be? He wouldn't be talking to anyone else in that direction. He doesn't know anyone
At that
else.
second, it does look like he was potentially motioning to Karen.
If you look at his eye, it almost looks like she's looking right at him.
It's so weird.
John puts his head up, and he's already making the motion.
Let's look at this. All right. Who else could it be? I mean, it has to be. There's nobody else there. It's John and Karen. There's nobody else over there. Nick. But they're not going.
He doesn't know any of them, right?
Okay, there's Jen. Jen is over there. Okay, wait. Like, watch Jen. Jen is turning around. It looks like she's saying to them, "Are you guys coming?" That's what it looks like she's saying. So wait, watch Jen. I didn't realize she's there. So there she is, right? She kind of flips around at the same time as he's asking. Look at him pointing. So he's not pointing at Jen because she's also not, right? But he's not looking at Karen either in this moment.
He's looking in that direction. It's not a big place. Where else could...
He's looking behind, though. Like, he was going like this. I don't know why. Let's see. Okay. I mean, maybe. Let's see. Is Karen react to that? No.
Hold on.
Jen
it's the second one here when he points to the head. Come on. Head. The head thing is a weird thing.
See, I don't think he's pointing to the head. I think he's saying, let's go. Yeah, see? Come on, we're going. Let's go. We're going. And he points to Brian Albert. But that is weird how John reacts, right?
Well, it's weird how John reacts, and John's definitely amped up about something. He wouldn't have done that if it wasn't.
I think my theory, I have a theory. I mean, it's just a theory. My theory on that is like they're getting ready to go to the after party. So it's like, woohoo! And he does like the little dance.
It could be. Again, I'm not going to be absolute as to what their mindset is, but it is odd that he just left his friend there. Even if you think that you're going to see them later,
What do you mean just left your friend there?
I mean,
What do you mean?
he didn't. Brian Higgins didn't say goodbye to John at all.
Well, I think he's saying
He just
right
left.
now. Like, there's no intent to leave each other. This is clear to me that they all are inviting John and Karen. And we already know from Jen that she believed they were coming. So they were coming.
I agree with that. But Higgins is he's a wild card. He doesn't live around there. He doesn't go to this house often.
No, so he's making sure that they are coming. That's what he's doing. I think he's ensuring that they are going too.
I would say,
he wants to know that they're going to be there. I mean, there's nobody else over there that goes. Has to be one of the two of them, right?
Let's answer some questions and take our break because I need to make a call.
Yes, of course.
Okay,
right. You guys. I know we've been ignoring you,
obsessing
but
of it.
yeah, I mean, right? It's like, what, it is
Get me
what
out
it
of
is.
this waterfall.
I know, I'm out of the waterfall. All right, you guys, let's take some of these. I don't think, did I see this? Yes, I did see this, I think, right? Yes. Okay. Sacred Justice became a new member. Yay, welcome, Sacred Justice.
Hello.
Yay, member for 4 months. Berta S13. Could the phone flashes be, they could definitely be any phone interaction, right? Because the lights are going to go on. Absolutely. Exactly. I do know pictures are taken at that night. I know they've been referenced, but I don't know who's taking them. At Cynthia, hi Cynthia. John was no dummy. He stopped texting the morning after confronting Karen. Are you guys hooking up? Yeah, I agree with you. I think both are true, right? That they don't interact at all. So Brian isn't reaching out to him either, which is interesting. There's no both ways, which to me is
interesting.
He feels guilt.
Yeah, you're right. Phone works both ways.
Phone works both ways. At Jill Farms sends 10 Canadian dollars. I love you both. Thank you. Do you think when the band was tearing down, they overheard the conversation between Brian and Caitlin? I feel like they might have. I doubt. Oh, yeah. The band you're talking about. Did the band hear everybody? I actually think, I don't remember. Emily would know this better, but I think at some point people have asked questions to the band, and I don't think they know anything. Think about it. They probably play. They are a known local band, and they do play routinely. So for them, it's just like any other night, right?
Right.
That
And
would be my
nothing
guess.
significant happened for them to even think about it or remember. It wasn't like you saw a fight. They didn't. We were seeing hand wave, and we're trying to analyze that. It wasn't a big commotion.
No,
They
it
went on to
wasn't.
the next day and never thought about it.
The only person, because remember, Karina does think it's weird that Jen tried to separate them. So there is the possibility that Nick and Karina would have had a conversation about something that they saw, because they did discuss, they must have discussed it because she remembers that very clearly.
Yeah, but there was like this whole big controversy. Like they're trying to separate them in order to premeditate some form of attack. I don't go down that road at all. I don't think that had anything to do with anything.
No, but the point is that Karina felt it was important enough to remember it. So to me, I wonder, does Nick have any observations about that night that he remembers? Just, I think they're the only ones that might. I don't think anybody else does. Melissa Weiner, 7713, sends $10. Higgins went to CPD for a Faraday bag, brought it back to Fairview. Phone went home with the McCabe's undetected. Yeah, very possible. Matt brought it to the scene. That's very, very possible. The question I would have for Cellbrite or for a cell phone expert is, when a phone goes into a Faraday bag, what happens? Because, I think the location data doesn't register right. It just goes it's off from like 1:30 to 6, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
There's like a big
Apparently,
dead zone.
Yeah. Actually, I don't even want to say that. Yes, I need to qualify that. I'm not 100% certain.
I know that there is some, or at least inaccurate data. I don't know. So that's
right.
It's not impossible. That's very possible.
Nope.
I don't know what the value of that would be though. Why would the McCabe's take it? I don't know. It's a good question. At Linda Richards, 520, sends $4.99. Oh my gosh, the behavior at the Waterfall is so pathetic. The flirting, the play fighting, the shots. Right? Sounds like my youth. Love you guys. You're right. I feel that way too. I feel like that's exactly what I'm reminded of. It's like being 17 when I would, had no business being in bars and would be there with my friends, like listening to like, oh my God, what are like 70s bands, cover bands? What are some 70s bands? Like, Steve Miller, like that kind of band, like a Steve Miller band cover. That's what this feels like to me.
I would make fun of this, but like I haven't been out in a while. On Friday night, basically we were all doing the same thing that they were doing. So yeah, you can make fun of it, but we all been there, and you can't judge them until you put yourself into that situation.
That's the thing, though. The last time I put myself in that situation, I was like really young. I don't think I was 21, which is really, maybe I was 21. At Zeta Zay 9337 sends $2. She was speaking to Caitlin for 4 minutes. Wow. I think you mean he, but I think he was speaking to Caitlin for 4 minutes. It's just so crazy, these people. Like, they just have no, like, who cares? We'll just say anything at any time, right? It's just wild to me. At Ricky B, yay, became a member. Yay, welcome. I think I've seen that you were a member before, but if not, then welcome. We're super psyched to have you. At Penelope Cruz 6465 sends $10. Thanks, Penelope. It's my favorite name in the whole world. That's my daughter's name.
Is that why you named your daughter Penelope?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
I don't
it was
know.
the only name we would agree on was Penelope. Yeah. I liked what was the other name? I liked Lainey, but I didn't like Elaine. Like I just kept thinking Seinfeld.
Yeah. Right,
I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
At Penelope sends $10. She would have been more suspicious. Is she totally ignored him? She was being cordial and responding. Oh, that's interesting. I don't see it as flirting. I feel she doesn't hate him. Just moving on. Okay, that's an interesting idea. I don't know. I see it as flirting only because she really makes it a point to like find a way standing in front of John. Like, think about that. She does it right in front of John, and she's aware that John, like, in other words, she's aware that John made a comment. I don't know how serious he was about that. What are you, Jesus, are you hooking up with him? I don't know if that was serious or not, but they don't have any more communications after that next morning, right? Brian Higgins says he's hungover. After that, there's no more communication between John and Brian Higgins, which I double checked to be sure because I wanted to be sure. right? So there's no more conversation. At the same time, that's exactly when the two of them start picking up their conversation, and that's leads up to them having the drink at Higgins's place. So I don't know. I mean, she does it right in front of John. If she knew how that John was, suspicious, you would think she would ignore him. Like, you think she wouldn't even go near him because she doesn't want to start stuff.
Keep in mind, she does have the female free pass, meaning she saw John making out with another girl. That's mainly why she's pursuing this. And whether you like it or not, if your spouse cheats on you, and you've probably turned down 50 guys as a woman throughout your marriage, right? If you're faithful to your marriage, then you see that you do get a free pass in your mind, and that's what she's going through. And it doesn't matter, though, whether it was flirting or not. You question Brian Patrick Higgins as to him being ignored. You made this whole big scene. This is Alan Jackson and their team in the war room, the Unwell. Unwell means nothing right now, because we know at 11:53 your client's touching him, right? So it's not that that's not ignoring, whether it was cordial or not.
Wasn't ignoring, right.
It wasn't ignoring at all.
It wasn't
it's the exact
ignoring.
opposite. So you have to be careful when you're doing this line of questioning, and they're going to be able to use what we've done here in their civil case for certain.
Very, very interesting. It's there's a lot of interesting stuff happening. Just want to make sure I get to the right folks. KMC777 sends $1.99. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
KMC777. W Doppler 1 sends $9.99. Sorry if I missed you all day. What set Higgins off? Right. Why did Caitlin Albert grab him at the waterfall? Caitlin Albert? What was the moment that Brian Higgins got set off? Love the channel. I think we're both. I mean, at least my feeling is I'm not sure that he is set off. In fact, I wonder if it's the other way around. Let me just play out a very quick, and I know we have to take a break, but quick scenario. For example, this is just, I'm not saying this is what happened, it's just a scenario.
We get it.
So let's say that Brian Higgins is standing in the family room with Brian Albert. John O'Keefe walks in without Karen. Brian Higgins says, what's up with your girl? Meaning, where's Karen? And John O'Keefe instantly hears that in a defensive way, and it sends him off because he's already kind of working his way up to being angry at Brian Higgins. John is the one that starts a fight. John is the aggressor. And then Brian Higgins, somebody else, Brian Albert gets involved, try to break it up, or I hate to say it, Colin gets involved, right? even if it's just at the body, like he's a football player. What if, because we know it's a force that sends John back, and there is a fireplace that matches check all of the marks on the back of his head. What if it's about getting him away from Brian Higgins? It's not about beating up John. It's about getting him away from Brian Higgins. And if you're a football player and you know how to tackle at the waist, right? You just put your full body weight into the waist. That would send somebody back at force, and they could hit their head. It could be that simple. And that's why I think, I don't know, I'm starting to think John's the aggressor. And I know that's a terrible thing to say.
I know, but it's okay. It's fine. But let's just frame it as, not as like how it happened, but the mindset of John going to 34 Fairview could very well be, I'm going there to confront Brian. And it can very well be that Karen knows this, why they're going there.
Or it doesn't even have to be to confront. It could just be that he's like amped up and has it on the back of his mind. They've been drinking. All it takes is like a switch, right? Like the wrong statement at the wrong time. Because the way they were talking to each other, he kept talking about his girl. Remember how he would talk about Karen to John in those texts? I could totally see him saying something just like stupid and drunk, like, where's your girl? And the way John hears it is as though it's something nefarious, right?
Yeah.
They could have been
arguing
arguing
like
on
such
the
a
way
far
over.
speculation, Sam. Right. Like, I think that potentially Karen knows that they're driving over there to confront Brian, and that's probably why she didn't even go in. That could be a very plausible situation. Now, Karen does mention that John does get in a fighting mode when he's drinking. And I remember she said it. I'm not sure why she said it, but she has disclosed that.
She said
and
blowing off steam is what she said.
that part, yeah, but there's also an anger part, a fighting part. I heard that part. There's a different part. But we'll move it to after halftime. But
yeah, we have to take a break. Okay.
No, we can finish up.
Okay, we do, yes. Sublime, at Sublime, 12201. Aw, I love Sublime. Sends $2. Thank you so much, Sublime. Good Treble Studios is a member. Yay, welcome. I love my new members. Zeta Zay, I love Zeta Zay. Hi, Zeta Zay, sends $5. I meant Karen was speaking to Chris for oh, yeah. So that's where, that's when she leaves, she goes and speaks to Chris. Karen goes to speak to Chris. Absolutely, definitely. Because I think Julie's already pretty much gone at that point, but she does definitely go over. Chris seems like he was a fun person to hang out with at the bar. Yeah. For sure. Twigs, hi Twigs, sends $10. I believe Karen is innocent of the crime, but understand that she made plenty of taped interviews that AJ says was all intentional. She knows much more than we give her credit for. I understand what you're saying, and I think that's probably true. Yeah, I think that's probably true. Yes. The question, Twigs, I would pose this to you, and maybe this is more of an offline question, but how much do you think they know? Not Karen, the lawyers. Like, how much do you think that she held back about particularly Higgins to the attorneys because, as somebody else pointed out in the chat earlier, it was embarrassing and she was managing their perception of her?
I think you're spot on with that. Spot on.
Ms. Bucket 920 sends 99 cents, but I think it's in pounds. Thank you for the super sticker. W. Doppler sends $4.99. If AO try my fat fingers, what sets him off at the waterfall? Chris Albert had to grab Higgins. I know, that's a good point. Why does he grab him? That's a good question.
I've analyzed that too. It could be something very playful. In fact, it almost looks like Chris Albert grabs Higgins without even any being antagonized at all. Meaning like, hey, where you going? Sort of fun type thing. So it could be that.
I don't
just
get
to keep
that.
in mind that it's a possibility. Meaning like if a guy's leaving, like, hey, where you going? You grab his arm. Like I do that to I did that on Friday night.
Yeah, I hear it. He does look edgy. He looks like he does grab with force. But you're right. Drunk, could be playful. Are you guys going out after? Whatever. Who the hell knows? Could be anything. At Good Travel Studio sends $5. Thank you both for the fave chat on YT, hands down. Oh, I love my chat too. Your intellectual and academic breakdowns give me life. Your discussions really make me think, especially disagreements. Oh, I'm so glad you like our disagreements because we sometimes like our disagreements. No, I think our disagreements are good.
I'm joking.
They've really helped me, certainly, be clear about my opinion, which is helpful. At CamC777 sends $1.99. John got a beer when closed out. Oh, okay. Sign out leaving. Yeah, okay. So he was asking people if they wanted something else. Yeah. Right?
That is a good point. Sign not leaving, right? I think she's trying to say.
Well, sign yeah. So in other words, I think the implication is he was doing the last round thing. You suggested that, and then he signed when he walked out, right?
Got it.
That was when he had his back to Brian Higgins. I mean, he must have. But he does get another beer, so that's really interesting that everybody did like the last call. Very interesting. Okay, we are one more.
It's okay.
Jill Farms sends 10 Canadian dollars. How did Steve Scanlon know to tell Yannetti to look at the people in the house? Yeah, this was days in. It was days in, and it's a really good question. Why don't we go to break? We'll come back and we will answer your question, Jill, because I think this is a good question. Cool. All right.
What are we watching?
We will take you off screen. I am going to put on some videos. My favorite Lally video, because it's my favorite, and I will see you on the other side. Mm-hmm. All right. Usually I have this ready for us, but I was so amped up about thing before this that my mind was in like a completely different place. So let me grab it. And sorry, you guys. I'm pulling it up. So what I want to play is my favorite Fervent song. And the video that Vince had done with Fervent. So the collaboration that they did. Let me just find it here. It'll take me 2 seconds. Here we go. All right. I got it. Here we go. All right, guys, we will see you on the other side. Let me bring this up for us. All right. Okay, we will see you in just a bit.
I've been biting my tongue for so long. Fuck you, Hank. Think you're better than me. Fuck you, Hank. You are not lolly. Fuck you, Hank. Think you're better than me. Fuck you, Hank. But why don't we see? I'm a basic kind of guy, I really don't need a flaunt. Smoking 6 packs a day and I'm happy as a hog. All I do is mumble, do I really need any lungs? The trial one jury was just like me, they were hung. Trial 2 came around and you wanna bench me? Not one guilty vote was embarrassing to see. Need to remind you that my jury was 9-3. Take your little OUI and get about the scene. Fuck you, hey, hey. Think you're better than me? Fuck you, hey. You are not lolly. Fuck you, hey. Think you're better than me? Fuck you, hey. Well, why don't we see? Oh, I know what will get us the win. Ask Rich about his fucking ham sandwich again. That'll prove this beyond all reasonable doubt. Oh, who am I kidding? This shit is a rout.
It appears that I made a mistake.
You took this case so damn personally, and I hold that opinion to a scientific certainty. You weasel face, fuck bet, Arca Major P. Even with all the help you got from Beverly, standing ovation. What a robust cross. Psych. Your nerdy ass looks so fucking lost. Just think, $500,000 was all it cost to get our asses kicked in the fucking law. Fuck you, hey, hey. Think you're better than me? Fuck you. You are not lolly. Fuck you, Hank. Think you're better than me? Fuck you, Hank. Well, why don't we see? Why don't we see? Hey. Waiting for your response, Becky. Yeah.
Did I mention my jury was also hung?
The only member of the team to make Bev smile. If your eyes are bad, I will offer you my readers, but they ain't gonna help when I impeach ya. I'm the reigning hot Mike's sexiest man. All these women in the street, yeah, they know who I am. They see my dimples from a mile away. When they pass me, they scream, Karen Reed was framed. That's right, that's right. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Beverly said no more, of course. That's right, oh yeah. So my natural response was to say, of course. Come on! Michael Proctor said he truly hates me. I got a question, Proctor, how's life treating you lately? They say everybody loves you, Nettie, but if you ask me, my heart belongs to Baba Leslie. That's right, oh yeah. They say Karen committed the crime. myself, we now know that was a lie. Come on! Office in Salem, Dedham, and Boston. Something in Norfolk County is rotten. Morrissey had me saying that is outrageous. A new DA might be what could save us.
How good is Fervent, right? It's like so good, so good, so good. Sheba Boucher, I see you. Oop, hold on. Something just popped on my thing. Here we go. Okay, something from the Corey Richens trial. And Sheba sends 986 and says, Higgins was calling Karen to 34 Fairview, not John. Chris and Brian pulled Higgins away. Chris and Brian Albert, I'm guessing, pulled Higgins away. Karen and John argued over her flirting and kissing Higgins. She didn't want to go inside knowing John was ready to fight. John threw the first punch. Colin and Chloe finished John. Yeah. Why didn't Jen question why they were going over to 34 Fairview in the first place, knowing he didn't get out of the car? Right. Exactly. That should have sparked a serious conversation on the drive over, but she didn't say anything. Knowing he didn't get out of the car. Let me just read this again. Why didn't Jen question why they were going over in the first place, knowing that he didn't get out of the car? That should have sparked a serious conversation on the drive over, but she didn't say anything. Sheba, I'm not sure I'm 100% clear about what you mean by that. And thank you so much for the Venmo. I heard it going off, so I was going to get to you. I didn't forget about you. And I'm not sure. You may have to help me with this. Why didn't Jen question why they were going over to 34 in the first place? Because I think Jen, that first part, I think Jen was just like wanting to party. Let me bring you into this, Vince. The question is, why didn't Jen question why they were going over to 34 Fairview in the first place, knowing he didn't get out of the car? That should have sparked a serious conversation on the drive over, but she didn't say anything.
Yeah, that's true. I think Jen was just assuming that there was an issue, whether they got into a fight or not. Assuming that she doesn't know about the murder, then she doesn't know why. I mean, we see Jen texting, what are you doing? Like, pull behind me here.
Wait. Just rewind. What do you mean? Explain that to me. Explain what you're answering a question to.
Why Jen wasn't reacting differently, knowing that John didn't exit the car? Read the question again. Maybe I'm.
So I don't think it's about that, though. I think maybe it's supposed to be she didn't exit. Why didn't Jen question why they were going over to 34 Fairview in the first place, knowing he didn't get out of the car? That should have sparked a serious conversation on the drive over.
I gotcha. We're talking about at 5 a.m. and saying, why are we going back to 34 Fairview if I know that John never got out of the car? I get what they're saying.
That's a great question. That's an excellent question.
Well, to Jen's point, or to her defense, she does say that Karen didn't even remember going to 34 Fairview.
Right.
And it was that Jen that had to say, you were here, I saw you.
Correct. That's right.
Yeah.
Twice. Yeah. And that she insists that they go there. That's right. So it is Jen who tells them to go to 34 Fairview. And then lies, of course, remember about the 5 o'clock phone call and then the 2 phone calls at 6:07 and 6:08, which are conveniently cut out of the voicemail that should have been 5 minutes and 12 seconds, but was 4 minutes. Just making sure everybody knows. Those are important little details. And I think, I know you're not there yet, but I would say to you, there's a lot of other things too. Like,
okay,
there's a lot to discuss that happens after 12:24. So I can't wait for you to get there because there's a whole lot of stuff that like that all so and just so everybody knows what I am focused on. I mentioned this already. I know you know, but I'm just going to reiterate it. My focus right now is on the statements by the people in the house at the time of what would be the crime. So Vince is actually looking at around the same time. So I'm looking at from when, I guess, 12:18, when Jen and Matt arrive, and then after that, and what everybody says about what's happening at that time should be a layup. If it was anybody, and as an example, if I said to you, Vince, think back to the most recent holiday or even Friday night, what did you do in the first 10 minutes? Like, what happened?
Yeah. And I do recall that, but I'll say this, that I was live streaming for one of my channels, and there were certain things that happened that I had no idea happened, meaning I forgot that they happened and I can recall them, but without someone actually prompting me. For example, the service was really bad because we overwhelmed the place, Rodney's, and it was completely sold out, and their staff was bad. And I remember trying to order a drink, and my friend Poker Mike had to put a $100 bill in the air, and we finally got one drink. Now, I forgot that it was completely warm. I mean, it was so warm, I make the joke that I'm going to sue them for burning my mouth with it because it was like literally hot. And I forgot that until this guy referenced that happened to him. Then I was like, oh yeah, that exactly happened to me. And it's sort of significant, right? Like one beer, you finally get it to warm.
The fact that everything you just said about the first part with like we walked in and we were crowded and the 100, that is all way more detail than anybody gives us. What we get from all of them is some version of three things, and Jen does it over and over again: laughing, talking, listening to music, laughing, all of them, right? So, and one of the things that is so important about deception, when people are being honest, they recall actions, and when people are not, they recall intent.
Interesting. Yeah.
So that's critical.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting.
So keep it in mind. All right, so let's respond to this question that Jill Farms presented. How did Scanlon know to tell Yannetti to look at the people in the house? Yes, this was in days. This was in a couple of days. What are your thoughts on this? Do you have any idea of what you would say here?
Yeah, Scanlon is a private detective, a private investigator in the area. He came up with a theory as to what potentially could have occurred. I believe that he was speculating, and just like any of us, went to Dave Yannetti potentially to get business. And then ultimately he had his theory. It wasn't necessarily 100% accurate, and we're not sure if it's even accurate at all. But the question is how? I would say speculating, probably to get business.
So there's one of two ways. One is that he knows Brian Albert. They were on the boxing team together with the police department. They were both Boston police officers. He retired, became a private detective, but they know each other. They've known each other for 30 years or something. I mean, they've known each other for a very, very long time. So knowing Brian Albert, knowing his proclivities, did he, as you were saying, speculate based on what he knows? But it is specific. So it's odd because he does give him specific details about vomiting and these weird. So it's odd. It's odd that you would give specific information instead of just like, hey, heads up, you should look at the people in the house. So that's one. The other way that he may have known, if you believe that he was reporting stuff he heard, is, I think, and I'm not exactly sure, the guys in the chat will definitely know this, but I think Scanlon, it's like his stepdaughter was Colin's age. Stepdaughter was connected to one of these three girls, the four girls, gotcha. I'm sorry. What are their names? Catherine Doody and Mary Kent, and there's four of them, those girls. It's interesting that they never get brought up. I mean, I don't know that it's important enough to even spend time on, but it is interesting that nobody ever really pushes on those guys. What time did they leave? All of that stuff, because I think they were just, everybody said the same thing about them. So we all kind of just assumed that part was true. I don't know.
Does your vibe change about this case just seeing what we just saw?
Well, my vibe has already changed about, no, because I already had made that shift, I think, probably. But the thing that was big for me was the text messages that we saw originally from Natalie, and that Turtle Boy came out saying Karen never at any time suggested that Higgins had anything to do with this. That was impossible for me to get my head around. And that's what brought me back to pushing on the Sergio theory that Higgins was not ignored and that was the one place in his testimony where he was being honest.
Yeah. And you were right about that. I mean, everyone that had that first opinion, I was actually upset with some people that had that opinion, that somehow Karen knew. And I was so certain that Higgins had no game. He was being ignored. He got ghosted. Right. I guess because I'm always in that situation. So I didn't realize that would be the ultimate reason that everyone that you were saying that it wasn't that he was being ignored at all. So I was completely wrong about that. Right. So it's interesting to see, though, a contradiction to really one of the main themes of the Karen's attorney's case was that he was ignored. He was angered. It's not there. You cannot say that based upon what we just saw today. It's impossible.
Right. Okay. And that's really interesting. So from that standpoint, there is a shift in that he didn't really have a motive, is what you're saying. I mean, you could make an argument in a certain light that the motive was to try to fight for Karen because she was giving indications that she liked him. But to me, that he's the one with the cards on the table. So the person that would have been angered would have been John, not Brian Higgins.
Yeah, if you look at it that way, based upon what we just saw, unless there's something that happened in Higgins' mind that he snapped, then yeah, you have to sort of lean towards that these two guys are definitely fighting. There's a reason, and there's a huge reason. There's a girl, right? And they're fighting over a girl. Right. So it's not random. There's not a random occurrence.
No, it's not random.
There's a girl. So then the question is motive. Is Brian Higgins willing to go along with this at this point? Probably, right? Like go along meaning if he's still friends with John, he's still friends with Karen, he sort of can deal with it, because this was not my original hypothesis and it wasn't my latest hypothesis. This is not Brian Higgins completely angered at the waterfall.
Well, and he also tells us, which is really funny, you played this recently and I forgot about this. He tells us during his testimony that he would have continued to talk to Karen if it wasn't for the fact that John died, which was a really interesting, he sort of says it in a little different way, but he's like, doesn't explain why communication stopped as a result of John dying. But he does say that, like, well, we stopped talking because of that. As in to say they would have kept talking otherwise.
And the thing is, if John was killed straight away after being punched, even if it was self-defense, we're still harping on the fact that no one rendered aid to him and decided to hide this fact as to whatever happened and then put him out on the lawn. So I don't want it to seem as if there's no culpability here, right? With regard, even if John went there to fight, which he may well have done,
course.
Right?
Yes.
Because, see, what I'm thinking is like, there's a chance that he told Karen that he's pissed and he's going over there to confront John. And that's really why she's hiding this. There could be that chance. And you're talking about these text messages. There is another one where she said that part of the reason she didn't go in because now that she was starving and she was hungry. I don't know if you saw this one yet. But it said,
no, this is in the thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess, or it just came out that she told someone that she wanted to go to she wanted to go to Chris Albert's pizza shop, which I get, right? You're done drinking, you want to eat pizza. There's nothing better than make your own pizza out of someone's shop. I get it. Who the hell wants to go to fucking after party? So I get both things, but in that, she ended that text message with, part of the reason was I was starving and I didn't go in because of that. There's something about her not wanting to go into that house. And it could very well be that she knew that John went in there to confront Brian. If he was saying on the card, what the fuck was that? Like, do you see how he left? I haven't spoken to him in 14 days. What's going on with you two? I saw you flirting. Who knows? Again, I'm speculating. I'm not saying that it's true. It's just a theory.
Yeah. Sublime 12201 sends $5, says, I think you both missed John wave Brian back after he does the dance. That changes the scene. Should we take a look for that?
I know
right
what you're
here.
saying. Yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. What were you
No,
gonna say?
if he's waving him back, I don't know. I don't know what that would mean or change.
Well, I think what it sort of speaks to exactly what you're saying, that he was like, like easy there, easy there, buddy, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I recall that. I know what they're saying there. Yeah, perhaps.
I think I know what he's saying too.
Next time, though, I want to have it zoomed in so we can really see.
Yeah, I will zoom it in next time.
Yeah.
The problem is that these giant videos are a little bit slower to work with.
They're slowing your computer down there. I see that.
They slow the computer down. Yeah, it's a pain in the tush. And I have like 7 or 8 hard drives for this. It's terrible. These videos take up a huge amount of space. It's really, really silly. We will definitely take a much closer look at that because there's a lot going on in this video, and I think it all warrants probably a lot more time, effort, and attention. And then when you line it all up with some of the statements in court, there's big problems for all these people because it's all bullshit. And to your point about being in a bar environment, you're drinking, you maybe don't remember so clearly. So even if we give everybody the benefit of the doubt, I mean, you don't forget that you spent 40 minutes talking to a guy at a bar.
Right.
He was next to you for 40 minutes.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and that's what we didn't know in any of the trials. We didn't see any of this.
No, there should have been a real breakdown of this video for sure.
Well, you have to understand that both parties have their own objective. It's not to find out who really killed John O'Keefe.
Right.
It's to defend their client one way or another. But if you're Alan Jackson, would you go down this line of questioning knowing that you have minutes of footage of Karen right next to Brian, not on the other side, but right next, and then actually touching him? So again, did they miss this or did they know it and was trying to set Brian up with something? I'm not sure.
I don't know, because I think either way you could make the case. Maybe it's not the same case as you made in trial 1, because they didn't find out about this until in between when Microdots released the video, right?
Right.
And then Microdots did a lot of the video work for them, I think, in both trials. So they found out in between. They could have used it either way to their advantage, but it does open the door for the Commonwealth being able to use it as motive also.
Right. That's true.
So, there was a way to frame it just like they do, right? I mean, they're lawyers. That's kind of what they do, right? Spin it. Shiva, I got your Venmo, dear. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it.
Hey, Shiva, you got to tell me how much so we can account for that and split it.
I've got it.
Sam's running a little side business on me.
948.
I'm just joking. No, I'm not. What, 948?
Yes, I got you, babe. Twig says, yes, sends $10. The lawyers knew what evidence to avoid. They knew Karen's vulnerabilities. Having Waterfall video and missing what appears to be taunting by Brian Higgins seems unlikely, considering the timing of the John died. Oh, interesting. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so we've always said and criticized Karen's team for not recognizing the taunting. But as we go through, we see now that it's plausible to say that this isn't taunting, it's something else, whether it's come over. And if you're Brian Higgins, you'd probably say, yeah, I was telling him to come over. Now, Brian Higgins has an issue, too, because he testified under oath that he never conversed with Karen Reed. We see that they are. We see him actually even move and do that whole thing where she puts her hand closer to her. So he has to watch what.
Him.
Right. And again, that's not necessarily a conversation, but he makes it seem as if he never communicated at all with her. And that's not true either. Whether he remembered or not, I don't trust Brian Higgins at all. But he has an issue, too, because he already has testimony under oath saying that there was no communication.
Yes. And the other thing about the timing of the John died text, it is interesting, looking back on Higgins' testimony, he keeps trying to loop back to that, right? And I'm not exactly sure why, but he does keep going back to that. And Alan Jackson keeps trying to get away from it. Yeah, I don't know. I think you're right, though. I think, look, trial number 2, they were just not even doing third culprit.
Right.
They were doing no accident. So it wasn't going to be very relevant. But they did bring up the Higgins text. I mean, that was like one of my favorite moments is when Yuri realizes that he's going to have to read all of them. It's great. more just to prove that the cops were completely incompetent. That was the idea. Was there was this line of questioning that should have been explored and it wasn't.
Exactly.
Which was true. Yes. What were you going to say?
To have Yuri Buchanek as anyone in the Massachusetts State Troopers get up there and say that these texts aren't even flirty and not know the context and not know anything about it was just so lacking any credibility, man. And I don't know what he thought he was doing, or I don't believe he's that dumb. I don't even believe he's a bad guy, Yuri Buchanek. And I don't think he's evil, like a Tully type person. But you have to know what's going on here. You cannot say those are not flirty texts. I mean, you're kissing some dudes behind the back. You're meeting in person. This is what all the text is telling you. And he's like, oh, I don't know if it's flirty or not. I would need to see them. Well, you're the fucking lead investigator, supervisor for the lead investigator. You should know by trial.
You don't know about the Brian Higgins text? Yeah,
I know.
right.
Give me a break.
Yeah, I know. That was here? He sunk. I believe that Yuri Buchanek was the turning point that sunk the prosecution, because there was just, he was on the stand for 3 days. He does that the entire time, starting with moment number 1 on cross-examination with the integrity and Proctor, and was he the lead investigator, and he refuses to call him the lead investigator. It was everything, right? It was brutal. At Jill Farms sends $5 Canadian. Why did Jen want to separate John and Karen and drive her over separately? And if Karen had gone in the house, would an argument have happened? That's a great question.
I know that Jen probably was doing that to guarantee that they would come over. She was all about the party at this time. You could see how excited she is. And she wants people to come in. She even invites Ricky, I don't know, and those people in. That would be a weird situation. So to me, that would be one way to guarantee that something's going to keep going. I don't think it's a swinger thing. It's just more of just a social thing.
No, I think that's probably a fair point, that she wants to make sure that they go. Because everybody's definitely in a party mood. I mean, you can see Jen, she's really, really loud. She's drinking. It's also very interesting, by the way, that everybody, and I'm just picking up on this now in what I'm looking at, there's a lot of minimizing of the drinking. And it's bizarre. It's bizarre. It's like, we see you drinking. Who cares about how much? You know what I mean? It's just bizarre. Even they minimize Karen's drinking. So that gives you an idea of how much they want to be distant from drinking. It's very bizarre. And then if Karen had gone in the house, I don't know what the hell happens. Something different though, right? Because it changes the entire dichotomy. And so just by default, the whole situation probably evolves differently.
Certainly. Like, we would not be here right now if Karen went in that house. I'm certain. I'm
pretty sure
be any
we
type
wouldn't
of
either.
death.
Yeah.
Now,
well, unless Karen goes in after the fact. I think that's a different question, right? Because she waits 20 minutes and then goes in.
That's a weird question. Let's say that he does get knocked out at 12:32 and then Karen steps in there. Then you have to come up with a quicker lie as to what occurred.
Then you have a big problem. I don't know what the hell happens then.
Is Karen distancing herself from this drop-off and the Higgins because she knew that this was most likely what occurred, meaning that he got attacked?
I think there's a very real... Let me think about it. I got to think about it. I don't think she knew that day. I don't think she had it in her head that morning. I don't think that's what the could I have hit him stuff. I do not think the next day she had that in her mind. That's always been weird for me, was in my mind, it would have been the first thing. First thing that morning, I pull up, I see him on the lawn. My very first thought is Brian Higgins. Yeah. She doesn't have that, right? So the question is, in hindsight, does she, start to put the pieces together? I think that's a different question. But for me, it would have been obvious right away, straight away.
Yep.
So I don't think she remembers, honestly. I think a big part of the problem is she does have these like brownouts where it's fuzzy. And I don't think, like to your point, I don't think she remembered.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, for sure. At chat signal 499, Waterfall video 11:58:34, Brian Higgins off cam now. John's still looking towards the door and gives a hand signal like, you, me, come on, ready to rumble. Okay, 11:58. Brian is off camera. John is still looking towards the door and gives a hand signal like, you and me. Do you know what we're talking about?
Yeah, it could potentially be to Chris Albert. I think he calls over at some point, actually almost right after, because Brian Higgins is gone. But I'm putting all these time markations down, and next time I'll have them zoomed in, and we'll see exactly where, so we don't have to go through that. And you know
what was the? Do you have the timestamp on the last question from Sublime? I can go back and look if you don't.
What was the scenario?
It was that we missed a hand gesture after the interaction with Brian Higgins. Like a John kind of does something like, waves him off.
That's not what this person's asking?
No, this is something different.
Okay.
This was the last person. So I think I guess the time is
I'll go
right
back
after.
and find it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get it for us next time so we can frame it in better.
Yeah, because I think that would be... These are all really good questions, and we just have to spend a lot of time on it. That's the truth.
Right.
At May the 4th be with you sends $10. Does a force be with you, but 4th? Does a voicemail have a time limit? Yes, it does. It was cut off at 5 minutes and 12 seconds. But the Commonwealth only gave 4 minutes. And we know because it's been obvious all along. I mean, I don't know why nobody put it together, or they just didn't bring it out, right? Because who do you blame for that? But the reason that it's odd is because the next minute and 12 seconds is when Jen calls into the house and has these two 15-second phone calls with her sister in the house. So if we had that other minute and 12 seconds, which the Cellbrite on all phones, everybody's phone, has that voicemail being 5 minutes and 12 seconds, Karen's, John's, and there's even a reference to Jennifer's phone somewhere that makes you think there would have been another minute. I don't know if it's the 911 call. So we definitely are missing time on that voicemail. Definitely. And I don't know what to make of the humming, but the humming freaks me out. Great show. I love watching you guys. Sam, you are super smart, and Vince, you crack me up. Well, we really appreciate you too.
Sam, you're super smart, intelligent, hot, and Vince, you crack me up.
That's awesome. We love you. Twig sends $2. Both were angry. You can't ignore Colin stopping Brian Higgins. You can't ignore.
Albert.
I think
Chris Albert.
Chris. I'm sorry. When I see CA, I'm like bouncing all over.
know.
Yeah. No, you are right. I don't think you can ignore it either. It looks forceful to me. It looks serious. It looks like Chris has information, and that's what he's checking back with. But maybe not. I mean, we don't know.
We don't. And Emily texted me saying that she doesn't think that it is forceful. She thinks that it's Chris Albert just trying to get his attention about the pizza place. And it very well could be.
What do you mean about the pizza place? About not going?
Like
to the
because
pizza
they
place?
were going to the place, or where the hell are you going? Just something friendly, not in a negative type way. And it could be, guys do that. I know I did it myself this Friday. I was like punching all my friends, when you see them.
No, sure. It's the look on his face, but again, it's grainy video.
Right. You can't judge that look. And that's a problem, because you see Microdots, they do such a great job of emphasizing what they want to do that you believe it, and you just think that it's real. Like, you can see the tension on his face. You can see, and it's great. That's great production. But for the law, we have to stick to actually what could be, not necessarily what someone's producing.
Yeah, we got to look at it from all angles.
Right.
And this is the part that I'm learning about myself. I'm learning to be able to see it better in real time, like where I am stopping myself from thinking down a line of thinking because of a bias. So, for example, not looking at John going into the house because my brain is like, no, that's unlikely. It's just, It's like, well, no, maybe that's unlikely for me. But if he goes in, he might go into the house. And is there evidence that he goes into the house? And so I have to watch that for myself. And it's very hard. It's hard. It's hard not to let our biases interfere. We all have them. It's just part of life.
It's true.
Karma Dharma 8 sends $2. What is your thinking about Karen's lawyers asking them McAlberts in the depots? What's your thinking about Karen Reed's lawyers asking the McAlberts in the depots?
Sure. So in a deposition, you can ask virtually everything, and generally everything has to be answered except if it involves a privilege, like an attorney-client privilege, meaning that even if you have an objection in a deposition, you still have to answer. And then when you get to trial is when You determine if something is relevant, if there was a compound question. So that's the general rules of deposition. They're wide open. I mean, wide open. You basically can ask virtually anything. I mean, it has to be relevant, but yeah.
So if I wanted to know about like cell phone data, do they have to produce it?
Well, yeah, so there's different types of deposition. Deposition generally is speaking about questioning, but before that, you give a list of items you want and then them to bring to the deposition. Generally, they don't do that, but you have a separate demand for discovery, which will be all the cell phone data. You send out subpoenas to all the different phone carriers. You have to do all of that in between. Generally, you want to have that before the deposition, but at a deposition, you will find out additional information that will lead to more documents that you're going to have them produce, or you will send the subpoena out to get them. So it's twofold, and it's very intrusive with regard to discovery. And both these cases are going to be very intrusive for all parties involved. Karen, too, she no longer can say, I don't want to speak. She has to produce all her phone data, all her phone documents, things like that. So that's good for us, though. We're going to get more information, more than we
currently have. Yeah.
Yeah.
What happens if let's say that some of the data that they acquire is different, whether it's video or audio or whatever, if they're able to get their hands on, let's say, this voicemail that is 5 minutes and 12 seconds, does that then warrant a charge?
A charge against whom, though?
Like the Commonwealth?
Nah, yeah. I mean, you're not going to bring the Commonwealth unless the prosecutor intentionally withheld it. That's the only thing.
Well, that's what I mean.
Think of.
It would have been all edited.
Right. I don't know. I don't think Lally cares that much. I mean, like, he's lazy, but I don't
Lally
think he
wouldn't
hid
have
anything.
Lally wasn't in charge, right? I mean, this was all above Lally's pay grade, I think. This was cops there's a lot. I don't know if you may not have seen all of the edited stuff, but there's a lot of edited stuff, whether it's the inverted videos to make Proctor look like he's on the other side of the car, whether it's the taillights that are blurred over, moving, or made to look white instead of red, whether it's the audio that literally is 5 minutes, 12 seconds, but cut off at the time where we would hear Jen's voice. I mean, there's a really long list, and it's not paranoia. I mean, they are altered. And there was motions to be able to present altered video and audio, or video, I guess, primarily, during trial 2. Contrast is all off. It's really bizarre. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Basically, you're not going to lead to really any criminal charges practically. Now, that's not to say it can't, but in their regard, you're just there to settle this case either by trial or by an actual settlement, and you're there civilly. You can only get money from all these people. That's what's at stake right now.
All right, so you could maybe bring it into your civil case, but you wouldn't necessarily make criminal charges. Bring criminal charges.
You don't have the authority to do. You would have to have the district attorney or the FBI if it's technically corruption for them to do it.
Right.
But that could lead to it, but it's not your objective.
Right, no, of course
from
not.
both sides. Yeah.
Right, I see. You're just trying to get information to make your claim or case.
Right. Now, if you can prove that they intentionally inverted or negligently inverted something and then presented it as fact, then yeah, that helps your case a lot, and you want to do that. And for certain, they're going to do that with some of the videos.
I would hope so, right? Twigs the Gemini sends $2. That is not a hey buddy kind of hand motion. Are we talking about the grabbing? No.
I would think that the Higgins type thing. I would think.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is why it's hard, because John's reaction is actually the one that is the most questionable. Like the look on John's face is the one that does not indicate like friendly. Like he looks like he is having a reaction that's mixed almost. That's the person who, like, Higgins is consistent. And I guess that's always been true for me. That's why I have a hard time with blaming it all on him, because even throughout the trial, there's so much guilt and he's so contrite. And it really seems like he was not the aggressor. That is the feeling you get from Higgins. And I don't know what to make of that. I've never known what to make of that, because clearly he was involved. And I don't think there's any question about that.
Yeah. So we have to remember that we now have the flirtatious grab that Brian could clearly see. I don't know if he did, But then remember Higgins talks to her and that like he sort of like moves towards her and she puts her. Yeah. That's all in front of John O'Keefe, and John definitely hears that. So if Higgins is motioning towards Karen to come over, come out, and then you're right, John is the one that's the aggressor when it comes to that interaction, meaning like he says something, you could see him like talking like he's angry, and then he does the dance after once he leaves.
Could very well be. Could very well be. And it makes a lot more sense. And there's a few things about Karen's statements here that are a little unusual besides the ones that you've already mentioned, which were she does tell the fire department that they were in a fight, that the last interaction they had was a fight. Now, I always chalk that up to the 52 calls because to Karen, there was a fight, whether or not John was involved in it. But you could certainly make the argument that there was a fight, that last car interaction was a fight, and that she pulls away, and she doesn't want to tell us that because she thinks that it makes her, gives more, food for fodder for the prosecution.
Could be. You're right. So it could be unrelated to the death, but a fight nonetheless, where Karen doesn't want to give even any motive. And I could see her personality being that she wants to come across as perfect, as opposed to saying, yeah, we were arguing about the stupid kids, not that the kids are stupid, but kids, and that's why I was mad and whatever. But then again, she's standing there, she keeps the car there. Usually if you're fighting with a girl, they love telling you they're not going. I'm not going to this, but then you have to beg them to go. But she waits around, so I don't know how much of a fight there could have been in their car.
Right, and I don't know, is she going to drop him there? Like, it's weird. How is he going to get home? She's just going to leave him at the Albert's house? I mean, you have to be really angry.
Right. Well, yeah, to just leave him there. No, I think she was legitimately pissed that he didn't come back to the car. Me too. Totally agree with that. I understand that. And you get antsy, and she's the type of girl that if he's not back in a minute, she's type A, like, where the hell are you? Like, I'm out of here. Like after a while.
Right, and then she does send those. She's got all the voicemails, like, you fucking pervert. Like, those are legit, obviously, right? So she really did think he left her, and that's the part that's where Aruba comes in, because I think if Aruba hadn't happened, she wouldn't have been as quick to jump to that conclusion. Yep, but it's interesting because, to your point, it is worth mentioning that whole day's sequence of events where Karen was still pissed at John because he hit her with the pillow and she didn't want to even come to Canton, and she was like, I'm going to stay home, I don't even want to go out, I'm going to go back to my house after the bar. All of that was still inside of her on that day when this is happening.
Yeah, so that's true. She seems like the type of girl that would actually go to the house party compared to Katrina. Is it Katrina? Karina, who seems like the type of girl that wouldn't go to a house party, especially because she doesn't know them. I mean, once Karen's drinking, she's all over the place, just like Jen. They're very similar socially.
I agree. Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. They're similar. There are some similarities between them. Which is, they got along really well, it sounds like. At Dennis Burke 3187 sends $9.99. What about the "you coming here" text? Good question.
Yeah, and that will always be the sticking issue. Now, could there be an innocent explanation? One would say, yeah, and Higgins tries to play that off and even changes the words. I don't know if Sergio ever picked up on that, but it's, "Are you coming here?" as opposed to "you coming here," followed by 3 question marks. So there's a difference in "are you coming here?" And the bigger difference is you haven't spoken to John in 14 days after romancing his girlfriend behind his back for those 14 days. Why you chose John, he could say because he does hear John speaking with Jen McCabe. Not Karen speaking with Jen McCabe, but John speaking with Jen McCabe at 12:18 and 48 seconds. He hears that because he tells Yuri Buchanan he heard that. So did he choose John just because he heard Jen talking to John, or did he really have an anger towards John?
Or was he, right, in other words, did he just, the 3 question marks, though, does indicate, it's an indication of emotion. It is an indication of emotion. The 3 question marks, it does indicate that, like, he's serious.
Stick to the John compared to Karen. Why text John, not Karen?
Because if you're going to, they're together, right?
Yeah.
You can't text Karen in that context. She's in the car with John. I mean, I guess he already did, though, right? He already did. He already sent the Unwell text.
Yeah, but they're at a bar. This would be different if you know they're in a car. I mean, at least the rules of affair that my friends tell me about, you would not want to text the person when you know they're alone with their spouse. If you can avoid that.
Right, I guess so. It's a great question.
Yeah.
Think about this for a second. I think he genuinely wants to know if they are coming, right? He's anxiously awaiting their presence. That's what the whole hand motioning is about, right? Whether it's for one reason or another, he wants them to come to the house. So the question is, what is the intent on his end? Is he just looking to like party with them? It is weird though. He has not been texting John at all, right? All of a sudden, after that exchange, and he's kind of talking to Karen, he doesn't really spend time talking to John. John is talking to him vis-a-vis Brian Albert.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This is weird.
Yeah, it is weird. And that's where I lean towards that Higgins knows that this is contentious.
But why would John? Yeah, I don't know. But okay, so the question is like, he doesn't want to fight with John, though. I mean, to me, he doesn't want to fight with him. Like to me, I don't think he was looking to fight with him. So why would you be asking this?
Well, clearly you're asking because you want to know if he's going there, whether it's he with Karen or him alone to finish some unfinished fight that they just had that we just witnessed. It's one of the two. You want them here. You're not just texting. He didn't text me. He texted them.
Yeah. Well, okay. Could it be to talk to John?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, so that's the thing, right? Because here's the thing. The Unwell comes. Karen is playing games. John is right behind her, which puts Higgins in a tough spot. That was always my very first instinct was that he's not looking to fight John. He's looking to tell John about what's happening because he's pissed at Karen because of the way she's behaving. Then you wonder, like, but would he really do that with Karen there?
Yeah, and now what we just saw, definitely not, because he's not getting the cold shoulder from Karen. We saw what happened right before it. Right, but does that last-minute action by Karen saving this basically the entire night, does that play into his mindset as to how he's leaving and why he's leaving? He doesn't want to leave. He wants to keep talking to her. We see that. Even with the hood, you see that multiple times. He wants to talk to her. He likes her. He really likes her.
He likes her. He does like her, yes.
Yeah. And you
Without
know
a
that
doubt.
first month, your brain's going crazy. This guy's going crazy for her.
That's true. You're right. So, but here's
He
the
always
thing.
liked her, by the way. Through all those text messages with John, he always liked her. When you send that text message, show your girl this, there's nothing negative about it. He wants her to know that he's thinking about her.
He liked her.
That's an in right through the boyfriend. He's flirting with her.
Yeah,
And
I
it
don't
se-
think
and-
he
and
was
you can explain it away.
intending, though, with that. I don't think he was trying to hit on Karen during that time.
Oh, I've seen it. He liked her from the jump. Men fall in love with
He
what we
liked
see.
her.
It's not going to come over time. I'm going to like her more. No, you like what you see.
No,
This
of
was a
course.
communication to her.
But I think he's genuinely surprised. And he's afraid she's screwing with him. He's surprised that she's reaching out to him. He doesn't know what to make of that. And he makes it clear.
Yeah.
Right.
But this
So I
is
don't-
everything he ever wanted also. This is what he wanted.
I don't know, though. It seems like I don't know. These are really good questions, and it's very hard to know what to make of it, right? I mean, it just really is. At Sacred Justice sends $4.99. Once they found out John died, all would have remembered. Yeah, I know. I was just thinking about that too. Yeah, you would immediately go back and replay every moment, right? You'd really want to know. Yeah, I know.
Right.
So
If you went out Thursday night and Friday night and someone died Thursday night, you're going to remember Thursday night. You're going to start recalling everything a month from now. You won't remember what happened Friday night. Something significant happened.
you're going to be replaying this whole sequence of events forever, right?
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point. It's a really good point. W Doppler 1 sends $4.99. Did you all see the video of the gun owner's shop who said Brian Higgins was a huge ass? Yes, absolutely. It's on YouTube. It's a great video with the, yeah, I guess that's in Massachusetts. No, it's in New Hampshire, I think it was, right? Wasn't this a New Hampshire shop? Because I don't think you can just walk into a gun shop in Massachusetts.
Yeah, what was the deal with that? Because it was someone who was in the police academy who purchased a firearm that you can only have if you're a licensed cop, licensed police officer. And he sort of said that he was in the academy and he got it. But then Brian Higgins walks in with regard to that and sees someone else, sees a black chick with maybe a black guy, maybe not, but he demands to see all the paperwork with that. Yeah, I did actually a video on this a long time ago, and that's what I recall from that. What I do recall is like Brian Higgins wants to be the dominant figure and he wants to be respected, and when he says something, he wants to see it. Like he wanted to see all the papers. They call their attorney, the gun owners do, and they say, no, we don't have to show you our papers. So then that starts the beef between Brian Higgins and the gun owner because they didn't listen to him. So that does play into perhaps the thin skinness or the ability to react quickly for Brian Higgins. It doesn't help him in theory.
100%. If you haven't seen it, it's definitely funny. I think all you have to do is put into YouTube, Brian Higgins gun owner or gun shop. It's a cute story. It's like a podcast type story where they just are telling you like what the interaction was like, right, with Brian Higgins. But yeah, I think you're right. He's insecure and he's very sensitive and he gets very emotional very quickly. No question. You would think, I don't know, you would think that as a cop, this guy has had a pretty impressive, relatively career in law enforcement, in the fire department, in the Army. You would think that he would be well trained, that it would just be automatic and that you wouldn't react the way that you're describing. But he's pretty emotional, I think.
Right. If you compare him to Miss Judy's love, Special Agent Sanford from the Adelson case, the FBI agent who's stoic, the baller blonde guy, the good-looking guy, there's a total different vibe between the two. Meaning, one, you have a guy who's most likely won't react so impulsively. They're all male apes. They will have the capability of doing it, but just some react quicker than others. So there's a total different vibe you get from Higgins.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. He and Brian Albert have more of the outlaw kind of, cop vibe, like more of the undercover cop, for sure. At Jill Farm sends $5 Canadian. Vince, do you still think that Brian Higgins is the killer? By the way, I love your videos. You make me laugh. Do either of you think this will become cold? Is the FBI looking?
I take everything I said about Brian Higgins back now. I do believe that he was involved in this. And what they did after is probably the bigger crime. And that's not to say that Brian Higgins wasn't the catalyst, but remember that he's out here lying about it, forcing Karen Reed to potentially lose her freedom and have to go through 2 trials. All that is because whatever they did. So yeah, I do believe that he is culpable. Now, again, it could be just self-defense. It could be just manslaughter. It could be the fact that they neglected him and perhaps could have saved him. I don't think that could have been the case, but whatever they did, they tried to cover this up. And yes, I still believe that he is, based upon the evidence.
And the question is, yeah, I mean, this is like the question, right? And I think this is one of the reasons why people that think Karen is guilty they go in their own thought loops about this. And one of the places that they get stuck is, why would these 2 cops not call it in, right? And they didn't put him on the lawn to die in the cold. Well, nobody put him on the lawn to die in the cold, so we can just let that one go. But that is the right question to ask. I mean, I appreciate that question. I think it is an important question. And it does speak to the questions that we have to kind of overcome. Now, one very simple answer to this is, why should we? Like, we're so holier than thou as police officers. Why should we take accountability when we can just say, guy never came in the house? And that's one possibility. It's an arrogant, complete asshole way of thinking, but could it be that simple?
Yeah, and it's totally different compared to, let's say, myself and someone else who aren't in law enforcement. They deal with death and crime scenes every single day. To them, they probably thought that they know that they've seen this before. They can potentially get away with it. The only fault that happened was that we saw this live. We got to analyze them, and so many people watched what they did, and you could tell that they're lying, and that was the biggest issue for them.
Yeah, I think their issue started long before that. I think they thought they had this in the bag, and then April of 2023, that's when it all goes to hell. Aiden, the defense breaks their case. The feds are at Jen's door. So I think that's where things really turned. And it was Matt, right, that says in those early group texts where he says, like, we pray to God that she pleads and, takes the lesser charge, because if not, this is going to become a thing. It's like, yeah, you could say that again. Right? Yeah. Do you think there is somebody investigating this?
It's hard to say. I don't believe so at this point. But the biggest thing is, if there's a new district attorney, when there's a new district attorney, they will have jurisdiction clearly over this case. And I would never allow myself to let this go, because technically the killer is still out there, because no one has been found guilty of this at all. So you have to figure out how to solve this, and the pieces are there for them to do it.
And I would say that one thing, just we all know from true crime cases and cold cases, it does seem like one thing that time does do is give people distance from the fear that they had about talking, about telling, it's not, these people are not as front and center in their minds. The cops have completely turned over. The Canton PD is no longer all their buddies, right? The people inside the district attorney's office, it's no more Brian Albert, or not, sorry, Yuri Buchanan and Michael Proctor and Brian Tully. Those guys, right, are not the ones running that office anymore. So with some distance and a new DA, someone who's not connected to any of these people, you very well might have a whole group of people with fresh eyes looking at it.
Yep.
But it might take longer than any of us want. I'd be psyched if I got put on this case, right? That would be like the greatest thing ever. It would be so much fun. And Good Trouble Studios sends $5. Makes more sense that John O'Keefe and Higgins were together and broke up. Karen Reed doesn't know and flirts. Brian Higgins reacts sus. He's way too paranoid for a man who does well for himself.
He is paranoid, and he is thin-skinned, and that comes with insecurity, regardless of whether or not Karen flirted with him or not, or whether he was ignored or not. He definitely does have a thin skin, because even those texts, I always say that there was a point where he's flirting with Karen, and then he hears that John was talking shit about him. In his mind, he thought that, and he immediately snaps and goes into, why is he talking shit? I didn't do anything. Like, why did he invite me over if he's talking? It was so quick that he was willing to give up that whole friendship over the perception that John was talking shit about him. And then Karen has to talk him off, and like, no, he say he likes you more and more. He'd say Brian said something funny at the bar, So it really is odd that they did stop talking, and that John wouldn't pick up on that vibe. You would know you're not texting your friend after all these months. That's why these documents are so critical, because we didn't really know that they were doing all this until Corey got these documents for us.
Yeah, those texts are really important to this kind of storyline, because of the fact that they stopped talking when they stopped talking. Like the Patriots game, they stopped talking. That's crazy.
Yeah. Right, because there's no event, right? There's nothing that, like, we know there is an event, but there's nothing that John could perceive. He may feel that they hooked up, but there's no fight that they had that he knows all of a sudden just stopped talking to the guy.
No, but he tells Karen, like, he just came to me and said, like, what are you two hooking up? Like, and then that's when the text stopped. That's pretty crazy. Like, that really is interesting. Whether it's because of Brian Higgins is feeling guilty or John is feeling pissy, either way, or John isn't even aware that he's pissy, but it's just he's no longer feeling motivated to text him. That is important, right? That feels a little important. It really is.
Yeah. And when your guy's cheating, like, you may not have evidence, but and there's got to be some of that in that air.
Well, but Karen is interesting when she actually tells Brian Higgins that she knows John isn't cheating, that he doesn't have time, basically, because he's always with her. So
Right.
she also comes clean like that. And I'm not sure if she does that because she doesn't want him to think that her motive is just to get back at John. I don't know. But it is interesting that these three are kind of having this discussion together, and it's affecting all of their interactions with each other.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. It's almost 3:00 here.
Oh my God, better hurry. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
at Earth Sister sends $10. Karen was just using BH to get John back for cheating. So that's to our point. It's funny.
Mhm.
Stringing him along like a toy. Brian Higgins figured it out and was furiously humiliated. The cover-up was par for the bad cops until it was for all crimes.
And that is interesting because Brian is witnessing those two happy, and who knows why he's pointing to his head if you think, but he is witnessing something that allegedly shouldn't have been going on, because she's not necessarily saying that they're happy to Brian. She's telling him that no one's happy, no one in the relationship is happy. So it is a good point. Like that could have been something that caused this
That
friction.
he's furious. That
Yeah.
Brian Higgins is angry.
Yeah.
Yeah. My question is the anger towards Karen or is the anger towards Brian Higgins or John. Sorry. Right. And that's the question.
Yep.
I don't know. Because you kind of get the feeling that he's just not angry with John throughout the text with Karen, that he doesn't want to screw John over, even though he's willing to do it anyway, right? Like you were saying, which is true. At Sacred Justice sends $4.99. The McAlberts must have been panicked Karen was coming in. Absolutely. If John was hurt immediately, they had no idea where she was. Well, they did have an idea because remember, Jen is staring out the window. So somebody was, would it surprise you if somebody was staring out at Karen's car to see whether she was going to come into the house?
Yeah, that's a good point. But again, if it took place at 12:32, who knows what would happen if Karen actually got out of the car? And this would be a completely different if she got out after the event occurred.
Right. If she'd gone in.
Event.
It's so crazy that she didn't, right? It's crazy that she didn't. Because I mean, that's it does not make any sense logically. It really doesn't. Like I get where she was coming from, but just from like a purely objective, logical, not drunk, not crazy standpoint, thinking that John in those 5 minutes or whatever it was completely abandoned you, forgot about you, like it is a little crazy that she doesn't just park and go in.
Yeah, it is, but I also get her taking off. And she does say that when she pulled away, she was hoping that John would be running up behind her. And I get all of that. Because you're like, where the fuck are you? It is a weird situation where you drop someone off to see if there's a party or not, and they don't come out. And, you know, she's drunk and she's feisty. She doesn't want to have herself sitting in that car for this long. I don't blame her. She never knew, of course, what was going on behind the scenes. Right? That's the huge issue. And for certain, she's not backing her car up and hitting John, and no one knows. That's all not part of my analysis.
No. It's impossible. It's just not what happened. At Alama7466, you became a member. Yay! Welcome to all the new members. Celine the Bean 4. Karen Reed equals bowel issues, Crohn's, previous colon cancer, left due to privacy. I have definitely heard that. Now, you know, I don't know if maybe she just didn't want to tell us. I've heard that for sure. That was part of why she.
And look, it is her right to not tell us the truth. When she's under oath, she has to. When she does a sworn right, but what she does tell us is that she was hungry at some point, and then she said she really didn't want to go, which I get, but we don't know for certain.
And listen, guys, these could all be true. I mean, there could be threads of truth to all of these things. She could have been hungry. She could have needed to go home because of the bowel issues. She was drinking a lot. Like, she could have been frustrated and angry with John because he didn't come back, right? I mean, all these things are true, potentially. At Twigs the Gemini sends $10. As former law enforcement and military, I've been the intermediary of many disagreements. And hey, come here. Chris was anticipating Brian Higgins to make a move. Google defensive T-stance. That the night was great. Google defensive T-stance.
Yeah, okay. I get what
Chris
you're saying.
is not, right? Chris is not But go ahead. Sorry, I get what he's saying.
I get what he's saying, and it could go either way, which I wish Corey would. But this is something where you don't know for certain why he's grabbing that arm, and you can't just say that it was in a nefarious manner. But I get what you're saying, and it's nice to hear like real men that are at bars all the time. They see this shit go down a lot because of the alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, and you can see it all these different ways. I mean, I can see the story in all these different contexts, right? You can see it, and then that's part of the challenge. Is well, I see that. I myself have a hard time seeing the Chris motion as friendly, but what does it mean? I mean, I have no, I don't know.
Yeah, and Chris is a guy that fucks around. He's like a man's man. You're like, where the fuck you going? And just like when Yannetti tried to use that email or text message about I'm going to fuck up your lawn, there was literally nothing nefarious about that. That's how guys talk when you like somebody.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, but the point is, though, they're trying to make it seem like Chris was being mean to him by saying that, and it's just not the case. Even with the pictures of them on the lawn, like
I don't think Yannetti was trying to make it look mean. I don't think he thought.
Then why bring it up? It's the exact opposite, right?
Because I think the reason Yanni was bringing it up is because the whole nature of their relationship surrounded that John was the get off my lawn guy, that it started with a conflict over the lawn, but that they became friends over it. But I think that, yes, at that point it was clear that he was kidding.
Right. There's no animosity whatsoever.
No.
At that
absolutely not. Yeah. Andrea Patterson 85 sends $4.99. Vince, you wrong about 1224. Who started the climbing stairs in a car thing? The Commonwealth? You should listen to Emily more often.
How come I have a feeling that's Emily? Well, listen,
awesome. We agree.
I think that the camera that Corey got us, 1216, shows that it's impossible for them to have gotten to the house before 1224, given the route that they took. It is. So everything lines up to what it is. I don't think the Commonwealth had any anticipation of anything else being but that.
Yes, at Smiling Sleuth sends $5, says Lana from Truth and Transparency. Recently went through John's phone data. It clearly shows Karen and John were not at 34 Fairview, but rather near Lank's house. Yes, so I'd have to see that. I know that that's Lana's theory. I'm a little reluctant with anybody that has a theory that is particularly, separate and apart completely from what has been presented so far. But I have heard that, and I appreciate that Lana will usually try to debunk what she's saying.
I got you. All right.
Yeah, I'm not. You never know. I am. You never know. I do think the question, like Ian Whiffen does present, this is to your point, right? Ian Whiffen presents incredibly, stating that it is incredibly, what's the word I'm looking for? High accuracy, right?
Smart.
Is that the word?
Are we
not
describing
smart,
Sir Ian Whiffen?
No, we're not. Certainly not describing Ian Whiffen. No. Just as he's giving us the location points of the phone, he is telling us that the accuracy is higher as they are driving. But again, I am not a cell phone expert, and I can't say because I just don't know.
Yeah, but you're not. I know you're not as smart as Sir Ian Whiffen. He's from the UK, but you can follow the data along, right? If there's something that contradicts it majorly, then you're seeing the path follow the street and it's slowing down, and Apple has a system. It's not like they made this stuff up and fabricated it.
I know. It's just hard for me to believe anything they say because they have gone to these great lengths with all this other manipulative stuff, and they really have. So it's crazy. And I get that's where Lana's coming from too. At Ricky B sends $20. Love you guys. We love you too. I'll put the info together detailing the multiple scenarios by day, such as walking with the iPhone in hand. Oh, awesome. Yeah. When you have time. And I know you're obviously super busy. Yeah, definitely do when you have time, and let us know like what you come up with. But that's awesome. And you have a drive, right? You have a pretty significant drive, it sounds like. So you'll have some data to work with too.
Yeah, I'm curious to see like in the car, like what could possibly happen if steps can occur in a car, if flight elevation changes going to occur in a car. That would be great. I would love to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. You say it.
Eep, op, or Thank you, F. Mammy.
Look at this little Pinocchio guy. That's super cute. Shiva 1971 sends 199. John punched someone's face. Higgins was at station. Yeah.
John punched.
Both true.
Yeah,
John,
could be.
That does appear, both of those things appear to be true to me, based on John's injuries.
Yes.
And we saw Higgins at the station also. What do you think, quickly, I know we're out of time here. What do you think about Higgins' Jeep not showing up on the Canton Library video?
It could very well be that he got past there before 12 o'clock. In fact, you see him exit at 11:57. It's only a minute to that actual thing.
If he was
if we had, and right, if he didn't pass by it, obviously you wouldn't see it, but he could have gotten out of there fast enough because it literally is just a minute from Waterfall to that camera.
Okay, that makes sense to me. That's right, because he could have been parked at an angle that was closer and you didn't have to go all the way around. I mean, all kinds of reasons why he could have gotten to that light before 12 o'clock.
Yep.
I didn't realize that. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, that helps me because that was kind of freaking me out a little bit. Sheba sends 199. Colin, Brian, or Brian Jr. Did who miss work or school?
Yeah, did they miss work or school? That's an interesting question. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we know Colin ends up dropping out of school.
Right.
But he was on break because this was January. So he would have been, well, I don't know. I guess we'd have to look at that up. He might not have been.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know if we know, but I'm guessing that they would have all had a real reason to miss because of the death, right? So they would have had a built-in excuse to not to miss. Like we see Jen, that next day she's going to the house, they're bringing stuff, whatever. So it's possible. Chat Signal sends 199. 11:58:34 makes John look possibly like the aggressor. Is that the same time that somebody else wrote down? Yeah, it's exactly the same time. Okay.
Exact same time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exact same time. That's very interesting. So we're gonna have to check that out as soon as possible. Jenny. Hi, Jenny. Hi, guys.
Hey, Jenny.
Let you know how much I love your shows. Emily, too. It was so fun to be in the cast of characters yesterday. Yay! Oh, yeah. It's so good to see you here today. Thank you for being here. And
amazing job by Jenny reading for us. Thank you again. That was great.
Yes. I got to go back and watch. I kind of heard it, but I didn't get to see any of it. So awesome job by you. At Joey36 sends $10. You guys are the best. Thank you. Do you think Proctor's phone will reveal evidence of his role in a cover-up or planting taillight? What do you think?
I think we're going to see a lot of N-bombs, J-bombs, whatever you want to say, just screwing around. What is more disturbing is probably the pictures of sexual assault victims. I guess their naked bodies. I don't know. That seems to be what his attorney is implying that's on the phone. I get why his attorney doesn't want that to be revealed, but it will come out eventually somewhere, somehow.
If that is true, I mean, that is devastating. And that's not just, slang.
Yeah, screwing around. Exactly. I could deal with all the other stuff, but that's a weird thing to be sending to you, especially to your friends. Not just
he's a classless person. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about that. But I doubt it. The reason why I doubt it is because I just don't think he's that stupid. I don't think they would be talking about any of that stuff. If there's any discussion or awareness about planting or moving, evidence, I don't think they're having that discussion via text. I think he is just not that stupid. At Good Trouble Studios sends $2. Do you think Brian Higgins flipped already before trial 1? No.
I don't know, but there is a question about what that proffer is, what it meant, what it covered. So who knows? But I don't think so. I think they're both going to go down with this. One way or another.
Yeah. Everybody's going down. I don't think anybody's flipping. Not from inside the house. At JC Music Man 999. Most fascinating is the underlying psychological subconscious motivation driving us to never want to stop analyzing everything about this case. I know. Right? I know. You know what's so funny, JC? You're gonna laugh. So this I have to pick my dissertation topic, and this question is the question that I am thinking about switching it to. Because, and I swear to God, this is the question I am contemplating right now. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it work, but it's sort of like a combination of this question with, cognitive psychology and principles of, I guess it's sort of like confirmation bias, but it has to do with perception and cognition. But that's so funny because that is actually the question I'm thinking about asking is like, what drives us all to be continually looking at all this stuff? So funny. I love it. That was a great question. So true. And the answer is, I don't know because I need to know. I can't.
Well, the answer is your mom or your dad. You got to figure out which one or both.
I don't know that I don't think they are my curiosity, maybe my dad. At Twigs the Gemini, I'm a she. Oh, hi, Twigs the she. I'm so glad that you're a she. Now, we have more information about you, Twigs. We're putting together the.
Well, send your pictures to Corey Hopkins. Just Google her. She's a partner now.
Chris isn't being mean. He's concerned about things getting. Yeah, I agree with you. Brian Higgins isn't happy. Don't adopt weird theories, guys. We're saying John O'Keefe ambushed them. No, I don't think ambushed. I don't think.
And I get that you guys have. Well, there is a certain hesitation to even say this, right? But I think it's important that we do say it because otherwise we're just sticking to one story and ignoring any evidence to the contrary. If you want to solve a real crime as to who did it, you have to get all this information. You can't be afraid to put a theory out there. Yeah. And I don't think either of us are so naive that we won't change our theory if we see something else. We can no longer say that Brian Higgins was ignored by Karen Reed. You can't say it. Karen Reed, is that? We cannot say that. She didn't ignore him. Those two communicated. So we see that. They touched each other intentionally at the waterfall. There's no ignoring. There's no Unwell and then somehow Brian Higgins thinking you're chopped liver. All that bullshit line of questioning is easily defeated by showing 2 timestamps where she's doing the exact opposite. So whether the attorneys knew that or they're trying to set Brian up or they just missed it, that's a whole nother situation. Again, we have the benefit of hindsight. I'm not faulting them for this. We're still learning today. We're looking at things that we don't know the answer. They had to do this so much quicker. So I always want to preface any type of representation with that benefit that we have.
Yeah, and I don't think it's not about changing and being certain. It's more just asking questions. I think that's kind of like asking questions, trying to get closer to the answer by asking questions.
Yep.
And I'll speak more to that later just because we're out of time. But Twigs is a she. That's so exciting. At Canton Chronicle, $10. Have you seen the footage from the dash cam that shows Matt going in? Yeah, multiple times and talking to Carrie several times. And then Carrie looks like she's going to go into the house. Yes. Have you seen that? It's later.
Yeah, I did see it, though, because I was wondering who the hell's big SUV was that, because I always wanted to get a good mock-up of the cars and their positions, and we get a little bit better now view. And I didn't realize that car, his SUV, was not there the entire night. Obviously, he shows up, Matt. So, because I was looking at the driveway a lot during these stupid videos that we have.
Yeah. Okay, so Matt, is that car the same car that they are in the night before, or is it a different car that shows up?
It looks like the same one to me.
It does. Okay.
It's like it comes across blue, but it's not black. I don't know what color it is. It's not like a hard black.
No, it looks like almost like a light blue, grayish kind of maybe, or something like along those lines.
Yeah, Jackie wouldn't
like
the
tell.
Color.
You're silly. Okay. I think we are. Yes, I think we. Oh no, not even close. Oh my God, you guys, we got to read these quick because I really do have to go. Or I'm gonna have to pass this over to you because I have to go pick up my daughter today. All right, so let me get to all you guys. You know what happens? This thing is a delay. So
really?
Let me get closer. Yeah, okay, delays every once in a while.
And I appreciate all these super chats. They really do help us keep this show going.
Yes, we so appreciate you.
And I don't appreciate the Venmos.
He's ridiculous. Okay, here we go. Sorry, you guys. Now I lost my place. Nope. Wait. No, I did. I did read them all. I'm sorry. Okay, I did read them all.
We got
Oh,
them
God, I
all.
got nervous.
All
Thanks, you guys. Thank you all so much for your support. Thanks, everybody in the chat. Thank you, Denise. You are the greatest. And thanks, Vince. This was fun. I think we're, asking questions. To me, that's what we're doing. I don't think that we're at the point of answering all of these questions yet. I think we're at the point of just continually trying to get closer to the truth.
Agreed. And that's what we're doing every Monday at 12 noon
Every
Eastern
Monday at
Standard
12.
Time.
That's right. All right, you guys.
All right, I'll
everybody
see you
have
back
a great
Monday.
day. We love you
well,
all.
we got
We'll
one more.
see you.
Hold on. One more.
Oh, did we get somebody else?
Last
Wait,
one.
where is it? Hold on. Where'd it go?
I think.
Oh my God. Went the wrong way. Yes, you were right. Okay. What about W. Doppler 1 since 1999? What about it? How Jokes was about having no shoes on his house? Could he have removed? Yeah. Yes, absolutely. He has injuries. So the idea that Chloe's like the culprit, to me, does not hold weight. Chloe, of course, was involved. And I will tell you that there's some additional newer, not new evidence of Chloe's involvement that I just kind of uncovered. But Chloe is not responsible. John was in a fight. I think there's a lot of clear evidence that John was in a fight.
Chloe's a good dog. So, she didn't do it.
Chloe.
All right.
Chloe didn't
I will see you back Monday.
All right, you guys.
Miss
Everybody have a
Benigno.
great
Remember
day.
to tell your dad
about
those two. Please tell your dad.
I will.
Anthony
I will tell him.
and Stuttering John.
I will
Thank
tell
you.
him. I will. Okay.
All right.
Bye,
see you next.
Goodbye. Didn't mean to cut you off, Ben. Sorry. Goodbye.
Is the defense
Bye, guys.
counselor's
Everybody have a
duty
great day. Thank you,
to protect
Denise.
the rights of the individual, as it is the prosecution's duty to uphold and defend the laws of the state. Justice for all. Only we have a problem here.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.